Hello and welcome to 4Accelerator. I'm your host Zoo, and today I am showing you a recap of a game I played as the Gauls. This was a cultural victory. You can see it's turn 284. I just won the cultural victory on this turn. You can see all my tourism here across the map, and it is in the Atomic World era. As you can see here, there's one turn left. It's about to turn over to the Information era. And I'm actually about to get a Dark Age in that next era. And I'm playing Dramatic Ages, so that Dark Age would have been bad. It would have flipped a lot of my cities to free cities, and so it would have cut into my tourism quite a bit. But fortunately, I won the tourism victory on this turn, so I didn't have to deal with any of that. But this is a recap. This is a slightly different format than usual. I would usually show the game all the way through, but this time I started just playing on my own, and I almost immediately wished I was recording, so I just thought I'd give the viewers a taste of what this game was like going back through the ages. And I knew I was going for a culture victory all along, so I focused on that. I built a lot of wonder as I worked on getting great artists and so on. But why don't we just go back and see how we got to this point of winning as the Gauls, one of the new civs in the new Frontier Pass. So let's load up the Classical era. So here we are in the Classical era. I didn't get a save of turn 0, so I didn't have an Ancient era save to show. So let's just start here in the Classical era, at the start of the Classical era. Let's start out by having a look at the abilities of Ambiorix and the Gallic Empire. So first, his leader ability is King of the Eburones. Your civilization gains culture equal to 20% of the unit's cost when a non-civilian is trained. Melee, anti-cavalry, and ranged units receive +2 combat strength for every adjacent combat unit. So this is a great ability for building military units either for conquest or for defense. It means that you can focus on getting a good military going and not fall behind in culture. It gives you a pretty big boost in the early game where the culture really matters and allows you to snowball later. It's a little bit like Sparta's ability to get culture with kills, only it's a lower percentage, because that, I believe, is 50% of the unit's cost for the unit you kill, and this is 20%. So it's a little lower, but you also get the advantage of getting it whenever you produce units. You don't even need to be in combat. And the +2 strength for adjacent combat units also makes them very good either on defense or on attack. It's just a bonus that you can work with to get lots of units and give them lots of combat strength, which helps you stay relevant in the war game even if you're not 100% up on science. It just helps your units stay good longer. The civ ability for Gaul is Hallstatt culture. Mines provide a minor adjacency bonus for all districts, a culture bomb of unknown territory, and receive +1 culture. Specialty districts do not receive a minor adjacency for being adjacent to another district, and these districts cannot be built adjacent to the city center. So this ability, I would say, is what really defines Gaul. It makes them play differently than other civilizations. For one thing, you're going to want a lot of mines, and you're going to want to place districts around your mines in order to get them adjacency. You don't get the district adjacency bonuses that you usually would, so there's not even any reason really to put them next to each other, with a few exceptions. You still get adjacency from the government plaza. That's just a +1 to any district you place by it. You still get some district adjacency bonuses for example, having a commercial hub next to a harbor, and for having a theater square next to an entertainment complex. You get a +2 there to culture, which I believe is relatively recent. I only really noticed it once this new pack of the new Frontier Pass came out, so I don't know when exactly they added it, but relatively recently. And the fact that you can't build districts adjacent to the city center has a pretty big impact on game. There's a few strategies that I usually like to do with district placement that just don't work, and the same with not getting specialty district adjacency bonuses from other districts. They just don't work with Gaul. Like, one strategy is I really like to settle on the coast on a river and have a money triangle with a commercial hub and a harbor right next to the city center. You get good adjacency bonuses that way. Well, that doesn't work for Gaul because they can't build the harbor or the commercial hub adjacent to the city center. So you have to plan for these sorts of things. And I found that the impact on coastal settling is probably the biggest here, because there's really less of an incentive to settle on the coast since you can't build the harbor adjacent to your city. You'll have to find another tile not adjacent to your city in order to build a harbor. And I did build a few harbors, so it's not like they have no naval gain, but it can be a little bit trickier than for most other civs. The unique unit is the Geisite. If this word is like a Latinization, then it should be Geisite, but I'm assuming it's actually from the Gallic language, and I'm guessing it's something more like Geisite, and at any rate, that sounds better to me. So this is the Gallic unique Ancient Era unit that replaces the warrior. This unit has increased cost and receives plus 10 combat strength when fighting units with a higher base combat strength, and plus 5 combat strength versus district defenses. So this is a great early unit. It's a little bit like the Eagle Warrior, which replaces the warrior as well for the Aztecs. You get it right at the start, which incidentally means that you also get plus 4 era score right at the start of the game because you start with a Geisite. And the cool thing about this unit is it stays relevant longer than warriors usually do. It doesn't even upgrade to the swordsman, which is the usual upgrade to the warrior. Instead, it upgrades to the musketman. So it skips the swordsman, but it stays relevant compared to the swordsman because if it's fighting a swordsman or any unit with a higher base combat strength, which is most units, it gets that plus 10, that juicy plus 10, which actually, especially combined with the King of the Eburones adjacency bonus for adjacent combat units, which, by the way, don't have to be your own. It includes enemy combat units. So when you add those up, typically your Geisite is going to be as strong or stronger than a swordsman anyway. So this is just a great unique unit. It's also great at attacking district defenses, taking cities, and it comes early, and the earlier a unit comes, the easier it is to use to snowball. So it's a really fun unit to play with. Finally, their unique infrastructure is a district, the Oppidum. It's a district unique to Gaul that's cheaper and available early than the district it replaces, the industrial zone. The industrial zone usually comes at apprenticeship in the medieval era, but Oppidum comes at ironworking in the classical era. So it comes a lot earlier. The Oppidum district is half price compared to an industrial zone, like all unique districts are, which is great because industrial zones are great and give you lots of production, and production helps you win whatever victory you're going for. So having that cheap industrial zone, just like Germany's Hansa industrial zone replacement, makes them a great industrial civ, which also makes them great for other victory types, or for victory types in general. So the Oppidum district is defensible with a ranged attack, which makes the civ very defensible. So you can get walls and the Oppidum, you can get an encampment in there as well, and you can have lots of defensible districts with a ranged attack. You know, it's not that useful on the offense unless you build the Oppidum forward on the borders with the enemy, but it is useful, especially in these dramatic ages where you get random cities falling and becoming free cities and spawning units. Well, if you have an Oppidum on the border with a city that flips to a free city, then you get some free shots against those free city units that spawn. So that's pretty useful, and it's just generally useful in the defense. And then its other ability is when the first Oppidum is constructed, the apprenticeship technology is unlocked. It's not just boosted, you get it. And that's great because apprenticeship is a great tech. It improves the production on your mines as soon as you get it. So getting it very early is very good. It incidentally also gives you a medieval tech. So it's possible you'll have the first medieval technology in the game, which gives you a pretty good amount of era score as well. So getting the Oppidum early can really help you get those golden ages or avoid those dark ages, which is important, especially in dramatic ages. And it gets different adjacency bonuses than other districts or the usual industrial zone. It doesn't get any adjacency from green districts, that is canals, aqueducts, and dams, so you don't have to worry about those as much. And it doesn't get the normal district adjacency bonuses just because of Hallstatt culture, but you do get +2 production bonus if it's adjacent to a quarry or a strategic resource. So you're going to want to be looking for strategic resources and quarryable resources like stone and marble. And usually you just want to let the map dictate where you're going to place these oppida. So those are the abilities. I would say Ambiorix excels at the cultural game because of a couple of cultural bonuses, and the unique industrial zone helps them get lots of production, which is great for building wonders, as well as building other districts like theater squares. And they're very defensive, so you can, even if you're not totally up on science, if you focus on culture, which is what I do in this game, they're pretty good at getting a cultural victory. They're also, I would say, good at a domination victory just because of their strong early unit, their ability to stay ahead in culture just by producing military, and their ability to get lots of good combat bonuses on their units when they have lots of units, and their production bonus as well. All work very well for a domination victory. I would say you could also go for science. The extra production will help with scientific victories as well. And they don't have anything special towards diplomacy, except insofar as getting lots of culture can help you get to those late game diplomacy bonuses earlier, like the carbon recapture project. And they don't really have much in terms of religion. They don't have any special bonuses, although, you know, getting culture could be good for religion. In fact, getting a religion can help, you know, your other victory types, especially if you get like the crusade bonus for attacking cities that are following your religion. That can help with the domination victory and stuff like that. I would say choral music is also very strong if you're going to be making lots of holy sites. That'll give you lots of culture. But that's enough talking about the civilization. Let's have a look at the game. As I said, this is the classical era. I am playing with dramatic ages. And for those of you who don't know, dramatic ages means there's no normal ages after the first era in the ancient era. You can only get a golden age or a dark age. If you get a golden age, then you exert lots of loyalty pressure, and you have access to golden age policy cards, which replace the usual golden age dedications. If you get a dark age, things are a bit worse. Your cities are exerting less pressure. Some of your cities will always flip to become free cities, meaning you have to reconquer them. Free cities in this mode apply their own loyalty pressure, which means that they don't immediately just flip back to you. You have to actually put some work in. And you can get a lot of free cities that put pressure on each other, and it can actually be kind of hard to manage the loyalty to get them back. If you are in a Dark Age, however, you do get access to Dark Age policy cards, just like in the base game. I can't show you any of those right now, but I can show you some of them later because I do fall into some Dark Ages, and we'll talk about that. We already talked about our civ abilities. Let's just take a look at the map. So I started, I think, on this tile here with my first settler, and I had a gay cite as well. And I looked and asked where I wanted to settle. Now, ordinarily it would be strong to move here, settle on the coast. This isn't a great placement because you'd want the fish to be like in either of these two tiles in order to get the harbor and adjacency bonus. But as I already said, you can't place a harbor adjacent to your city, so there was really no point to moving here, even though this would have made for a great gold triangle, as I like to call them, with any other civ, but it didn't work here. If I settled here, I wouldn't have any mines around me, which would be unfortunate for the Gauls, because the Gauls really want to have mines adjacent to their cities. A perfect city placement would be like one with hills all around, just because you can't put anything on these tiles. Well, you can't put districts on these tiles. You could still build aqueducts, you can still build neighborhoods, You can, yeah, so no specialty districts, that is. You could still build wonders, and I do put some wonders around the city center eventually. But you want hills around your city because you want to put mines on those hills. Those mines will help you get, they'll give you culture bombs, so you get free tiles, which helps you expand your borders quickly. You get that extra culture. Once you put down an oppidum and you unlock apprenticeship, those mines get +2 production, so they get very strong very quickly. And those mines will give you adjacency bonuses to districts. So if I settled there where I started, I wouldn't have gotten any of those juicy mines. So instead, I moved one tile over and settled here, so I would have a couple of mines right next to me. I very early on decided to get a builder. I added Liang in the city to get an extra builder charge, built a builder, and improved these mines to improve my borders. And then, as luck would have it, I got an iron right here on this hill, which made for a very good mine there as well. So that's our starting location. I used my Geisite to sort of scout around. I immediately built another Geisite. That was the first thing I built, which is what I usually want to do with these civs like the Aztec or the Cree, who have, or Sumeria, who have an early unique unit, a starting game unique unit. I usually want to start with that just because it helps you make use of your civ's advantages right away. So I didn't even bother with a scout or a slinger right away. I just started with the Geisite, and it probably took like 10 turns to build because it is more expensive than a normal warrior, but I think that greater expense pays off. You can, as you're exploring, you can use those Geisite to clear out barbarian encampments very easily, which is something I wanted to do. For one thing, you want to fight barbs in order to get the boost to bronze working, so you can get bronze working, you can find your iron, and you're that much closer to iron working where you get your unique district. I should say that I'm using Luigi's, I think, or Liugi's unique district icons just to replace unique districts with their own icons, which I like. Just a minor graphical thing. I'll say my other mods are a better trade screen, which helps, a better spy screen, espionage screen, which I don't have access to right now, and Sukatract's simple UI adjustments, which I like to use. So those are the only non-official mods I'm using, and I have all the other mods enabled. So anyway, I wanted to clear barbarian encampments for that gold, for the boost to bronze working, and I also wanted to get governor titles. So I'm playing with the Secret Societies game mode enabled, and because I knew I wanted to go for a culture victory, I knew I wanted to go for the Owls of Minerva, and you unlock the Vampire Sanguine Pact by clearing barbarian camps. But on this game mode, you get a free governor title anytime you unlock one of the secret societies, even if you don't use it. So taking out a barbarian encampment was going to get me a free governor title, even though I wasn't going to take the Sanguine Pact. So that's another reason to go with the Geisite early, do some exploration, fight barbarians, all good reasons. That was my main goal in the early game. And I think probably as soon as I got out that second Geisite is when I had already gotten a couple governor titles, so I just immediately got Liang for that +1 builder charge and got a builder out right away. I think with Gaul, if you have hills adjacent to your cities, you want to get a builder out probably faster than you would for other civilizations, just because they really need those mines to snowball. And of course, you also want to make sure you have good food tiles. So luckily, I had this wheat right next to the city, and I had this this honey resource, which gets bonus food. So I got a builder out really early and wanted to improve these things, which was very useful. So that is sort of the map game, the units, the build order. That's how I thought about this early decision. My science, I immediately went for mining. That was my first tech. I knew I wanted to get mines down and improve those hills. And then I think I got lucky with defeating barbs, and so I think I immediately went to bronze working after that. I got lucky. Well, actually, it's not luck because I played with strategic resource balanced, or balanced start, which always gives you iron and horses somewhere around your cities. So it wasn't totally luck, but I did get this iron mine real close to my city, so I was able to improve that to get the boost to ironworking. And so I believe ironworking was just my third tech. I think I just went straight mining, bronze working, ironworking to get the oppidum as soon as I could. and once I got access to the iron, and saw the iron, I knew where I wanted to put this oppidum. I wanted to put it here because there is a stone here for a quarry that's +2 on the oppidum, as you can see, +2 from that strategic resource. And it also had a couple of hills adjacent, which means it would get a couple of mines. So right now I'm getting +2 from that stone, +2 from that iron. And then when I got horseback riding, it turned out there was horses here, which is even more perfect. So right now I'm getting +6. When I clear these woods and put a mine down there, those 2 mines together will make this a +7. So I had a very good spot for my oppidum. I didn't have to put it on a hill. This was already flat land anyway. And as soon as I got my oppidum down, I was a little bit greedy going this way, but with the Geisite, you can be a little bit greedy because you have such a strong defensive unit that you don't necessarily have to go for archery right away. You don't need walls right away, so I was able to get greedy, go straight for ironworking, get that oppidum down, and that gave me apprenticeship here, as you can see, which gave all of my mines +1 production and allowed me to build the workshop in the oppidum, although I don't think I did that for a while. So I think that's the standard play for Gaul. I think is just to go straight down this path if you can, if you don't have to improve other things very quickly. Then I think this is just the strongest start for Gaul that you could wish for. And then once I got the oppidum, I started doing animal husbandry. And then, as you can see now, building masonry. That's because I saw this settling location. And I thought this would be a really good city for the pyramids, and it'd be a really good city for the Petra. As you can see, I already pinned the Petra. So what happened was I ran into Kupe and the Maori, and they had settled a city here, and he had another free settler, out in the hinterlands here. So I took that settler and I marched it down here to the desert to settle Ratumakos, and with just a couple of Geisite, I had enough combat strength to take down Kupe's city. He didn't have walls. I don't think he had a unit here. Maybe he had like a warrior or a slinger or something. So I got pretty lucky there. I managed to use my early game strength in the form of the Geisite. I took the city and I took a settler. So I got Wanganui and I got that settler to do Ratumakos at the same time. I eventually made a settler in this city, probably before I put down the oppidum, and that's probably how I timed it. And then I settled Bibrax. And before I settled any cities, I was careful to look around the map and try to find out where I want to place my districts. If you want to beat Deity, I think this is an important thing to do. You don't just want to settle willy-nilly. You want to think about where you're going to put districts, especially the districts that are most important to you. And I would say, again, playing to our civ's strengths, the most important district that will determine where I want to settle for Gaul is the oppidum. So you can see I put a lot of oppidum pins down. I knew I wanted to put one here because that's on flat land, so I'm not crushing a possible mine tile. And it's next to 2 strategic resources, so this actually gets me. I put +3 before I saw the horses because I'd get 2 from the iron and then 1 from the 2 mines here. And then with this, it turns out that this will eventually be a +5 oppidum, which is great. Same here, this gets a +3 from the iron and then 2 mines. And then I, found out some other oppidum spots. I decided that this city here with an aqueduct next to it, I'd put this one's oppidum there to get that quarry +2, that iron +2, and a mine and a 2 mine +1. And I put some other pins down. So this is a great start. This is why I immediately wished I was recording this game all along, just because I got that sweet start fighting the Maori, taking a city, taking a free settler, which allowed me to get a 4-city spawn in turn 45 and helped me get a golden age in the classical era, as you can see. It also helped that, as I've already said, you start with the Geisite, which gives you some era score. I got some era score from barb camps, from finding a natural wonder, getting the first tech in the medieval era gave me +2 era score, and then I put my oppidum down before the ancient era ended, which sealed the deal, gave me +4 era score. if you are over the era score cap for a golden age before you build your oppidum, you can put it down and get that +4. And in dramatic ages, having lots of era score over the golden age cap will increase the loyalty pressure from your cities, which can be useful, but it's less useful in the early game, especially if you're like me and you haven't actually found any enemy cities to flip or put pressure on. So that extra loyalty pressure will help you settle cities and avoid enemy pressure. So it's not wasted, but in the early game especially, if you're not having any loyalty problems, you don't expect to have any loyalty problems. As you can see here, like, okay, I can't settle there, even with the Golden Age, but I have all of this land to settle, which I've already put some pins on. What was I saying? I've already, yeah. So you might not waste the era score there. If you're going to go over the Golden Age with the Oppidum, you might hold off and build it in the Classical era instead of the Ancient era. But you have it there as an option in the Ancient era if you're quick enough with your tech that it can almost guarantee you a Classical era Golden Age, which is very useful because it would have really slowed down my game if like 2 of these cities rebelled. It's also worth mentioning that since I'm playing on Deity, you get more of your cities rebel during Dark Ages or at the start of Dark Ages, and fewer AI cities. So that allows for the AI to try to snowball. So it would have been pretty bad to get a Dark Age this early on. I would have had to use my Geisite to take those cities back, which would have been easy because the Geisite, that's exactly what they're for, is fighting units that spawn and then taking on cities. But this way I could just, snowball in the early game. You'll notice I have a pin here. I saw this reef and I thought, hey, a +2 campus would be good. Of course, I decided to settle a city here, mostly because this would be a good oppidum with the strategic there and the quarry there and the mines. If I wanted to place this campus, I would be sure to place that campus with Aduatuca, however you say that, before I settled this city. So that's something you can do. And that's something I do here later, is I build this oppidum with Ratu Makos, and then I settle a city on this iron, which isn't ideal exactly. So I would have 3 mines here if I didn't settle that city, although I would have to expand this city's borders or another city's borders to get that iron hooked up in the first place. But you don't get any bonuses from having 3 mines. You only get them for every 2. So I didn't mind settling a city on this iron and avoiding the chance to build a mine. But I had to put this oppidum down in Ratu Makos before I settled that city. Otherwise, this city would always own this tile, and I wouldn't be able to build the oppidum adjacent to the city. So that's just a trick to keep in mind. Anything else about the map? I don't think so. So I already told you my science, what I had in mind. For culture, I just focused on the boost. The goal really is to get to political philosophy as fast as you can. If you're going to get a boost to, say, early empire by having a population of 6, or state workforce by putting down a specialty district, you want to switch off the civic and start researching something else before you waste any culture on something you're going to get the boost for anyway. That's the main way to get through this. And you also go through faster because I made a lot of Geisite. Basically, whereas for a lot of civs you might start with a monument fairly early on, especially like maybe your first or your second city, you start with a monument to start building up culture, start expanding your borders. With Gaul, you can just build Geisite instead of a monument, and it gives you 20% of the unit's combat strength. Is it combat strength or cost? Let me double check that. Of the unit's cost. So yeah, so the Geisite costs 60 production. That means if you produce a Geisite in one of your cities, you get 12 culture. And so that, the monument will add up because that's going to be 2 culture per turn as long as your city's 100% loyal. So that means the monument is better in 6 turns, or as good in 6 turns. But if you keep making Geisite in these cities, as I'm doing here in Ratu Makos, then it's a good way to accelerate your culture faster while ensuring you have a force to respond to enemies, to clear up barbarians, to explore, and so on. So it's a fun little bonus. I also went for mysticism before I went for political philosophy, just because I decided I wanted to get the Oracle. And I think I build the Oracle here on this hill. I didn't want to build it on this one because I want that to be a mine to improve my Oppidum tile. So I build the Oracle here. That's what I want to do in this era. I want to get the Magnus Governor in order to chop and get bonus yields from harvesting wood tiles. So I've chopped that one. I think I might chop that one as well to get the Oracle faster. And the reason I wanted to go for the Oracle is Gaul is a culture civ. Well, not just a culture civ, but I was going for a culture victory. But their strengths are really getting culture and production. And culture doesn't win the culture victory. Tourism wins the culture victory. And you need especially a lot of faith to get the tourism. You need faith to get rock bands and naturalists. And you can also get some religious tourism. So if you're not a faith civ, and you're not a civ that has bonuses to tourism like Teddy Roosevelt does, or France does, then your main focus is going to be on some other source of culture. Now, with some civs like Russia, that's going to be great works because you get the bonuses in the Lavra. With Gaul, your bonus is to culture and production, which really helps you build wonders. So you get the culture fast to get you to that wonder faster, and you use your high production to build the wonder faster. So the Oracle is one of the wonders I wanted to build right away, because just any wonder will do and improve your late game tourism. You get extra tourism as the ages progress. So the earlier you build a wonder, the more tourism you get from it. You also get era score. So I knew this was going to be a wonder game, and I wanted to get the Oracle specifically because, well, I looked up here, I saw this natural wonder, I saw good spots for some holy sites as well as some natural parks. I decided eventually I was gonna place these two holy sites and then get a natural park here on this diamond and a national park here on this diamond. I was going to settle these cities to make sure I could get those. So I knew I was going to have an okay faith game. I wasn't going to prioritize faith, but I knew I'd get some source of faith. And I figured with the Oracle, you get a discount on patronizing great people with faith. So I knew if I wanted to get a great engineer or a great writer or something quickly before someone else, having the Oracle would be very useful. So that's why I wanted the Oracle. Here I just saw an opportunity to get the pyramids, which, because Gaul is so focused on city development, city tile development, you want a lot of builders, and they're even better if they have a lot of charges, because you want to put down a lot of mines on a lot of hills. So I knew the pyramids would be very useful. I want to build the pyramids here on this floodplain. This isn't the best Petra city, but it's an okay Petra city. 4 desert hills, a few desert tiles. So I knew I wanted to go for both of those in this city. And so just any wonder is good, but you want to especially focus on the wonders that are going to help in the long run. And the pyramids definitely would help in the long run. The Petra, if I got this, would be great. It wouldn't be that good because Petra only improves one city. It doesn't improve your empire. So that's anyway why I'm going for masonry, is to get the pyramids as soon as possible. And why I went for mysticism was to get the Oracle as soon as possible. And so that's my plan. In the classical era, it's to get to political philosophy. I want to select the autocracy government to get plus 10% production towards wonders. I slot in the corvée plus 15% production towards ancient classical wonders, and I want to get those wonders down. As far as Pantheon goes, do I already have a Pantheon? Yeah, okay, so I did select my Pantheon already. I got a little bit of faith from the God King policy card, which I should mention. I'm spending a lot of time in this era, but I just want to catch you up on the game. So this is, as I said, this is the Secret Societies mode. So I knew I wanted culture, so I joined the Owls of Minerva. Their first bonus is first of all, you unlock them by sending an envoy to a city-state. That includes if you're just the first to discover a city-state. You just get an automatic envoy, and you unlock the Isles of Minerva. You get a governor title. So I slotted that in because their starting ability is arguably the strongest one. In fact, the Isles of Minerva might just be the strongest secret society, even though, come on, vampires. Um, but you get +1 economic policy slot, and each trade route sent to a city awards 1 envoy there. City state, which is they're both very strong bonuses. I mean, honestly, having just one of them, especially the economic policy slot, is great. But getting that as early as I did, I got a couple of secret society invitations. So I got the Isles of Minerva. I put 1 governor there. I put 1 governor into Liang. Now I'm about to put some governors into Magnus. I want to get Groundbreaker to chop out those wonders, and Provision to get out settlers quickly without losing population, without spending population. But with the Isles of Minerva, you get that extra economic policy slot. So as soon as I got chiefdom, I had 2 economic policy slots. I put in urban planning for +1 production in cities, and I put in God King +1 faith and +1 gold in the capital. That let me get my pantheon. When I chose my pantheon, which happened in the ancient era, I had a few options. One was like production and faith from strategic resources. That's good on strategic balance mode because you're guaranteed to have some strategic resources around you. And in general, Ambiorix wants to hunt for those strategics and acquire any land with strategics in it anyway. So I think that's God of Craftsmen, the +1 production and +1 faith to strategic resources, improved strategic resources, would be good. Also, I knew I wanted the pyramids in Petra here. Since I have these desert floodplains, I could have gotten Lady of the Reeds and Marshes, which has been buffed to +2 production on desert floodplains, oases, and marsh tiles. I got a marsh tile there, marsh tile there. That wouldn't have been the worst one. And if Petra were an empire-wide bonus, I might have gone for that just to ensure that I got the Petra. I have a really strong city here. But it's just 1 city, so I didn't want to get that just to ensure like 1 city was really strong. I could have gotten the Monument to the Gods to get, what is it, +15% production to Ancient Classical Wonders. That would have been strong as well because I was going for these early wonders. But I took a chance. I took a chance on not needing it, which eventually does pay off. Because I get the Oracle, I get the Pyramids, I get the Petra, and I didn't need to take that Pantheon. So, it's a calculated risk, but in this game, it did pay off not to get that. What I did end up going with is, what's it called? Dance of the Aurora. That's the one that gives Holy Site districts +1 faith from adjacent tundra tiles. The reason I chose that was because, as I said, cultural victories are actually won through tourism and, to a certain extent, faith. And I didn't have a lot of sources of faith around me. I didn't have any religious city-states. We do have some mountains, but for the most part, like here with a +4, I could put a holy site there, or I could put a campus. And in general, I feel like I should go for a +4 campus there instead of a +4 holy site. But I had these tiles, which are already great from being next to a natural wonder, from having woods adjacent. And I realized with just choosing a pantheon, it's not a great early game pantheon unless you're like Russia or something, if you have a lot of tundra. But I realized that I already want to put down some holy sites here in the tundra. I can make those holy sites very good if I get this pantheon belief, Dance of the Aurora. And basically, like having 3 cities here in the tundra, having 3 holy sites there with Dance of the Aurora, and getting the 100% holy site adjacency card, whatever that's called, scripture or something. Having that in there would basically like meet all of my faith needs for a big portion of the game with just like 3 holy sites. So I wouldn't need to invest a lot to get a lot of faith. So I chose that, and that was kind of like a late game decision. As I said, if I were going more for an early game decision with this game, maybe the wonder bonus, maybe something with production. But I opted for the late game choice for me, which was to get extra faith from these tundra tiles with holy sites. So that was sort of my late game decision, and I did it. And as I said, it pays off. So that was a lot. But I think that's everything I wanted to say about this, about the ancient era. And as you can see, I am now in the classical era in a golden age, and my plan is to rush out those wonders, uh, and then keep settling. So, like I said, I want to get Magnus, I want to get provision on Magnus, so I could keep making settlers in Aduatuca. I think before I create a whole lot of settlers, I put down my government plaza and put out Ancestral Hall, which makes settlers faster to produce in the city with the Ancestral Hall, and also gives free builder, which is great when paired with the pyramids, which I did get. And then, especially with what's it called? The serfdom card with feudalism, which you keep that in, you settle a city with the Ancestral Hall, you get a free builder, it gets +2 build charges, it gets +1 from the pyramids. A lot of synergy there, a lot of charges on those builders, which is great for putting down lots and lots of mines. So that was my plan here. And I also met Coupe. I went to war with him and then made peace after I took his city and a settler. And I met John Curtin as well. Neither of them are especially happy with me, but you know, we're just going to expand out. We're going to keep exploring with these Geisite, and we'll just keep playing the game. Right now, because it's a golden age, I don't really have much to worry about in terms of like loyalty or cities revolting. I do have these cards, which sorry, they're a little dim, but Exodus of the Evangelists, still the same. Actually, what I did was I realized, I looked at the numbers. I said, like, how many great profit points are people making? How many religions have been founded? Right now, no religions have been founded. I think John Curtin does eventually build Stonehenge and get the first great profit. But I did decide, as soon as I got political philosophy and had the space for it, got that wild card slot, I put in Exodus of the Evangelists for the +4 great profit points per turn. So even though I didn't have a shrine built yet, I got a great profit. And I eventually founded the last religion in the game because it took me a while to put down a shrine. I think or a holy site. I think I'd first put my holy site in one of these tiles with in Wanganui, and then use my great prophet. But I had the great prophet long before I put down the holy site, and that's just a strength of getting that classical era golden age. You get access to Exodus of the Evangelists, and the great thing is, in dramatic ages, you can get those +4 great prophet points. You can also get them through revelation. It's a little bit slower that way. And then I took out the card, so I didn't even have to dedicate my whole classical era golden age just to that, which is what you'd have to do ordinarily. I was able to slot in monumentality or Mandala State. Mandala State's a new one where you get +4 culture for every wonder, and the wonders in your cities cause foreign cities to lose 2 loyalty per turn, which would have been cool if there were any cities around me after I built those wonders. And also Praetorian Guard, which gives wounded units the ability to heal +10 HP per turn, and +2 production to encampment districts and buildings. So I put in Exodus of the Evangelists, and then once I got my Great Prophet, I just took it out because I wasn't building religious units, and I was able to slot in other cards, which was just excellent. I think I slotted in Literary Tradition to get +2 Great Writer points per turn pretty quickly. So that's the Golden Age policies. I do like that aspect of Dramatic Ages, that you can switch between your Golden Age policies. You don't have to just pick one. It's very strong to be able to do that, just like the secret societies are very strong. But keep in mind that the strength of Golden Ages is balanced by the horridness of Dark Ages in this mode, and especially if you get a lot of era score in the Golden Age, then you're not going to, like, if you get more than you need, then it's going to be harder and harder to keep getting Golden Ages, and so eventually you'll get a Dark Age. But with that, why don't we jump forward to the start of the medieval era? We'll see what kind of progress we made. Alright, so here we are in the start of the medieval era, and a few things have happened in the intervening turns. I did get another Golden Age, which is great. I avoided the Dark Age. Let's have a look, see if any of these policies have changed. Nope, so the medieval age has the same Golden Age policies that the classical era had. Mandala State now would be even better for me because I did build some wonders. I still have autocracy in here. I'm using serfdom card. to get +2 extra build actions. And I got to serfdom and feudalism faster because I get cultural bonuses with Gaul, which is great. I really like the synergy of their kit just because you get, you know, you want production, so you want builders, and then you get culture, and then that culture helps you get more builders and more production. It's a great kit. It's just a lot of fun, and it's fairly unique. But what happened in the intervening time? I got the Oracle here, like I said I would. I got Magnus. I got provision on him. Put down the Government Plaza, Ancestral Hall. Kept pumping out settlers there. Meanwhile, I was building the pyramids in Ratumakos, and I got the Petra. Both great wonders for the city. Pyramids great for the whole empire. And then I just decided, you know, what the heck? I'm going for a wonder game, so wonders are worth it. I tried to build Jebel Barkal here on this hill. I didn't eventually get the Jebel Barkal. Someone beat me to it. But it's not a huge loss. I wasn't banking on getting it. It wasn't necessary. The extra iron and extra faith would have been nice. And then, of course, the tourism from the wonder itself. But I went for a lot of wonders in this game, and I figured, you know, you're not going to get all of them, but you're going to, you know, if you get them, it's going to be great. And if you lose them, you still have a little bit of extra production that you get left over from that wonder. Not as much as you would have if you just built directly without building the wonder, but, you know, still something. And so once I failed the Jebel Barkal, I'm like, okay, I can just put that production into my Oppidum here or something like that. So that happened in the intervening time. I didn't get this campus down before I settled this city. It's just a +2 campus anyway, so that's why I didn't prioritize it. So let's just delete that pin. But I got some settlers out. I did start building this holy site here. Like I said, I got that great profit just by using the Golden Age policy. Had some barbarian spawn, so I made some military to deal with that. I believe I settled this. Yeah, I did. Novio Dunham is mine. So I had those 4 cities, right? I had Aduatuca, Bibrax, Ratumakos, and Wanganui. And my next settler, I had met Canada down here, and you'll notice they're not in the game anymore. That's because Canada had a Dark Age. Maybe they had subsequent, like, back-to-back Dark Ages, I'm not sure. But their cities just kept going to free cities until even the capital became a free city. Now, that shouldn't happen simply as a result of being in a Dark Age. The developers in their recent video said that your capital will never revolt just at the start of a Dark Age. But if enough free cities are around you, in this mode, the free cities exert loyalty pressure, and that might be enough to flip your capital, and that's exactly what happened to Canada. But before he flipped, I met Canada and saw him moving a settler to this spot, which is exactly where I wanted. Again, mostly because I wanted a couple of good Oppidum locations here. If I put an Oppidum here, that's +2 from the quarry, +2 from the horses. I could get the same thing if I put it here or here. Actually, I can't put it here because that's adjacent to the city. But I knew I wanted to settle this spot, and I knew I wanted to get there before Canada did, so my next settler went here. Then I filled in the back territory. I got a settler here, so I could get an Oppidum there, and I settled there. And in these cities, I, you know, put down Oppida where I could and built a lot of military units. That was, as I've already said, I really like that bonus of getting culture from building units, because it means you can prioritize units, which is great for Deity. It's great for dramatic ages in case you have the opportunity to take a free city, as I do here. You have lots of units ready, and you don't fall behind on culture while you're doing that. So I already have 34.4 culture. It's not as much as the AI, but it's Deity AI, so you don't expect to have the same amount right away. But and even though the actual culture gains you get from units doesn't show in this top icon or in the numbers here, you get policies faster if you build units. And so in a lot of these cities, I built a lot of units. I built Geisite, I built archers, and then because I had horses, I built a lot of horsemen. And that's basically my early game military composition. And then this medieval era happened. I got enough era score between getting like these wonders and getting cities out and everything. I got another golden age. Canada was not so fortunate. Canada got a dark age and rebelled, and then, like I said, they lost their capital as well. So Canada's just not in the game anymore. Instead, we just have some free cities, and those free cities are mine for the taking. Because I have this military, because I built military, because I got culture from the military. Great kit. Now, speaking of great kits, you'll notice Byzantium's in the game. That was a random. I didn't pick to have Byzantium in the game. I only picked to have Rome in the game. And Rome is in the game, but we won't find them for a while. Byzantium also has a great kit. I'm not going to go into the details here. Maybe I'll do another recap of a game I played as Byzantium. They have a lot of cool things, a lot of cool religious and domination-based abilities, kind of like Spain, which is also in the game. So we found those guys. They are doing fine. I think they have golden ages right now. Yeah, everyone who's survived so far on my continent is in a golden age. Canada did not survive, and I don't know what Rome and this other third party are doing. But my plan for this era is just going to be taking the opportunity of my loyalty pressure to take these cities. I want to keep settling cities here. I still have a lot of pins. So I want to settle. Eventually, I'll get enough loyalty pressure to be able to settle here. I want to keep settling these cities to get my faith game going up there, and make use of that Dance of the Aurora pantheon I chose. Settle a couple coastal cities. Put down a couple harbors. Like I said, harbors aren't as good for Gaul because they can't put them next to their city center, which means they get lower adjacency bonuses because you get a +2 just by having the harbor adjacent to your city center. It also affects housing. So I think the lighthouse gives coastal cities extra housing if the harbor district is adjacent to the city center, since you can't really build harbors adjacent to the city center unless, say, I had this city build this harbor and then settle the city there or something, like, or I guess it'd have to be like, I can't show you an example here, but say this city builds a harbor there and then I settle there, but you have to put down the district before you put down the city. That's the only way it'll work. But ordinarily, because you're not going to do that as Gaul, your harbors are not as strong, your coastal cities aren't going to be as strong. So in general, I would always try to settle inland as Gaul, although sometimes you just have space for coastal cities, so eventually you should do those. But I would prioritize the inland cities with Gaul, and that was my priority. I kept making settlers here for quite a while, just to get out 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cities up there, 6 cities, and I wanted to keep producing military just to wipe out these free city forces and take these cities. Now, taking these cities is a little bit difficult just because as soon as I take Toronto, for example, I'm going to get lots of loyalty pressure from Australia and from Ottawa because the free cities are exerting loyalty pressure in this mode. Some loyalty pressure here, although this city is also rebelling in 7 turns, becoming a free city, which I can then conquer. As you can see, I got this pin here. Coupe settled exactly where I wanted to settle, which is bad news because it means I can't settle there. Good news because it means I can just take the city, and I don't have to delete it because it's right where I wanted it. But anyway, getting that loyalty pressure means it can be kind of hard to take these cities. The trick is to take lots of cities as quickly as possible. So as soon as I take Toronto, I want to move on to Ottawa and a couple of other cities. I think Winnipeg is here and Halifax is here. It's a couple of other Canadian cities. So the goal is just to blitz through the free cities and get loyalty pressure. At the same time, you want to use your governors judiciously. So if Toronto is rebelling as soon as I take it, slap a governor in there. Use a couple of policy cards. So the Limitane gives +2 loyalty per turn for cities with the garrison unit. That's important. There is a... Yeah, this one. Praetorium, governors provide +2 loyalty per turn to their city. That's a useful one as well. And of special note is the governor Victor, which has garrison commander, which aside from units defending within the city's territory get +5 combat strength, your other cities within 9 tiles gain +4 loyalty per turn towards your civilization. If you are conquering either free cities or another civ, Garrison Commander is an almost essential pick. So if you're planning on going on the offensive anytime soon, or if you suspect that you're going to get a Dark Age and some cities are going to rebel, you might want to save up your governor titles to get Garrison Commander, which takes 2. You have to appoint Victor and then promote him. But that +4 to multiple cities is super essential. And let's say I took Toronto, I'd want to put, say, Pingala in Toronto just to give that +8 loyalty from the governor, and I'd want to put Victor over here in Novio Dunum, which doesn't. Well, right now it does need a governor, and he'd give the +8 to that, but then he'd also give +4 to these other cities, which is really good. So you want to use your governors and cards judiciously to create loyalty. That's like the biggest and I'll admit somewhat annoying drawback to conquest of free cities or other civs is that loyalty mechanic, which can be so punishing. But, say I take Toronto, I move on to Ottawa, and in the meantime, Toronto flips back to a free city. That's annoying, but it's easy enough to just get forces around both, like switch between them. And if you slow down the loyalty penalty enough with your governors and your policy cards, get monuments inside them, you can eventually take them. And if you're moving your military fast enough and you're building military behind the military you have to make sure you surround the enemy cities, you'll be able to take a few cities out. And it's also worth mentioning, I didn't do this for a while, but if I had an entertainment complex down here, then I could do the Bread and Circuses project, which would give loyalty pressure to surrounding cities up to 9 tiles away, I believe. Which would be very strong, and especially with a culture civ like the Gaul, if you put an entertainment complex down, you get an adjacency bonus now to theater squares. So putting an entertainment complex down, say, I don't know, right here, can't do it there because that's next to the city. Right there could be a good long-term investment. So I didn't actually do this, but say I put an entertainment complex here, then I do Bread and Circuses project out of Novio Dunum to put loyalty pressure on both of these cities. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and a little bit of pressure here on this city. Later on, I could put down a theater square there and make sure that that entertainment complex isn't going to waste. It's giving me a juicy adjacency bonus to the theater square. So that's a good strategy as well, especially for the Gaul in particular, who are kind of war and culture focused. So what did I do for science? I had already gotten the Oppidum. I got the pyramids. I think after I unlocked masonry, I think I went straight for mathematics, it's pretty easy to get the boosts. I'd already met someone for writing. I just needed a trade route for currency. You need 3 different districts to get the boost to mathematics. That was easy enough because I already had the Oppidum. I haven't built that holy site yet. What else did I get? The Oppidum, the government plaza. Maybe I didn't get the boost to that. Maybe I just hard researched it. But let me see. Is there this specialty district? Yeah, I guess I did just hard research it then, unless I boosted it some other way. But if I had finished this holy site before I got mathematics, oh, it's the theater square. Yeah. So I built the Oppidum, this theater square, and the government plaza to get the boost to mathematics. So I hadn't even built any campuses yet, but you just choose your text carefully, work on the boosts, and you can get what you need fast enough to, like, say, build the Petra. I don't think I ended up building the diplomatic quarter at all, just because. Well, so here's another sort of nerf or downside to Gaul. Since they can't build this next to the city center, they actually lose some of the bonuses to it, which you lose the +1 envoy that it gets if it's built next to the city center. You just can't do that. And the whole point of the diplomatic quarter is, aside from getting bonus yields from city-states, which is nice, although I wasn't going to focus on diplomacy this game, which is part of why I didn't build the diplomatic quarter. The main thing that it's good for is like reducing enemy spy effectiveness, which could be good if, you know, if I got like 3 theater squares in this little circle and then I put down a diplomatic quarter, it keeps people from stealing great works out of those theater squares, I think, which is pretty good. But I just used spies themselves to counter spy instead of using the diplomatic quarter. So anyway, I didn't build that this game, but I did get mathematics, got the Petra, and then I just sort of backfilled all these techs as I needed them. I got astrology in order to put down my holy site in order to use my great prophet, which I still haven't done yet on this save. Got some sailing just to improve, to get to celestial navigation, to put down some harbors. And right now we're just going for construction, get some lumber mills, and that's mostly to... Actually, I don't think you need that for machinery, do you? I think, yeah, you just need ironworking and engineering. Is that what I'm teching into right now? Oh, no, I have to choose right now, so that's just boosted. It's not working. Yeah, the next thing I want is probably like get to machinery for crossbows and stirrups for knights. I think I actually delayed stirrups quite a bit, probably longer than I should have, and went for machinery first instead. But knights are a really good power spike. Same with coursers here, which are just a little bit weaker than knights, and really good for raiding. And plus, it's like I already have horsemen coming, so you know this would be another good option. But so is stirrups. So anyway, those are kind of the choices right now. I'm looking at conquering, so I probably want to go for some crossbows and knights and or coursers on the way to gunpowder. Of course, I love the boosts. I love getting boosts. I didn't build walls right away because I noticed with all my Opida, I get great engineer points before anyone else does. So I almost got the first great engineer, James of St. George, before anyone... I almost got him before anyone got any points. Byzantium has a little bit of points now. But I knew I was expecting to be able to instantly build ancient and medieval walls, so I didn't build any walls myself, and I get James of St. George. I use him to build some walls, and that gets me the boost there. Then I build an aqueduct to get the boost to military engineering. So, you know, you can play this pretty smart with boosts. Sometimes you just want to hard research things. You know, if I were going for a science game, didn't have a great scientist, I'd probably still just want to prioritize education just to get those universities. But for the most part, I do like getting boosts, and I think that's another trick to winning on Deity is to really learn and play these boosts. It's not gonna be as easy to memorize the tech tree with, say, tech shuffle mode, but this is not tech shuffle mode. This is just the standard path, and you can get pretty used to knowing like what to get before what in order to build, you know. So you need to get the water mill here in order to boost that. You need to get walls here in order to boost that. You need the aqueduct to boost that, and so on. So just, you know, practice and memorizing those moves is what's going to help speed up your game here and compete with the Deity AI, who start with lots of advantages. Culture-wise, I got political philosophy, and I'm not really prioritizing the religion game, which is why I'm not really going down this lower path. Instead, I knew I wanted builder charges, so I went with feudalism, and then I decided to just sort of go straight down the middle for the start. So I went to got recorded history, then civil service. Looking back, maybe it would have been worth it to just go straight for exploration first before doing either of these. Well, actually, recorded history did help me because that Praetorium card helped me a lot, but and the governor title's nice as well. So maybe it would make sense to like do that and then rush for exploration. Although the nice thing about civil service is getting alliances. So one thing that did help is you can see I'm already declared friends with Spain over here and John Curtin, Australia, down to the south. and you can see his borders here. He's exerting pressure on these cities that I'm trying to take. So what I ended up doing is getting a cultural alliance with John Curtin to make it so that we don't exert loyalty on each other. So for a while, John gets control of Halifax, which is a Canadian city. And, you know, so I'm not exerting loyalty pressure on him. I'm helping him hold Halifax, which means I don't get that, although I end up taking it later eventually. But it means he's not exerting loyalty pressure on me to get these cities, especially Ottawa, which is a capital, so it's a pretty good city, you can bet. So that cultural alliance was really useful. So I think I played things the right way by going with civil service and then going for exploration. From exploration, this will kind of take us outside the medieval era. Once I get that, then I want to get humanism, get those extra theater square buildings, extra cards, and also the Taj Mahal, which is I almost never build in the normal game because, you know, Golden Ages are great, Normal Ages are just okay. Dark Ages aren't that punishing, so I almost never worry about era score. In this mode, the Taj Mahal is a great wonder because it gives you +1 era score from historic moments if they're usually worth 2 or more. And there are a lot of era score historic moments that are worth 2 or more era score. So after I get, actually maybe even before I get exploration, I think I researched this, and I do build the Taj Mahal. Also diplomatic service to start getting spies is quite nice, and we can kind of go forward from there. I did found my religion eventually, but I haven't done that yet, so why don't we hold off on that to see what we picked. Anything else? I'm getting great rider points. I think I'm slotting in the card. I'm slotting in the card to get more points than John Curtin, so I get the first great rider. Actually, this might even be the second. Let me see if I already... Yeah, I already had Ovid. He was the first great rider, so I got him. And with this culture game, again, because I'm not a huge like tourism-based civ, I'm not a huge faith-based civ, I really want to prioritize getting wonders and great works. Because that's something you can do with just production. You can build wonders, and you can do district projects to get lots of great writer, artist, musician points. And that's how you turn production into a tourism victory. So that's what I'm trying to focus on. Weather doesn't really matter right now. Let's see, governors. I already got Alza Minerva. I already got Guildmaster. I put a point in a zoning commissioner for +20% production towards districts. Because I was building districts in the city that I had her in. I don't know how I feel about that one. It's not super strong, but it was all right. I got surplus logistics with Magnus because I was leaving him in one place to train settlers, and I wanted that place to grow quickly, and I just also figured sending trade routes to that city, which is the capital here, Ottawa-Tuca, with the government plaza, and a couple of districts meant I was getting really good internal trade route yields, like from Ratumakos here, to build these 2 wonders and this like hopeful third one. I was getting really good yields, so I gave him that one. And then I got Pingala because Pingala is always great. You get that 15% increase in science and culture in the city, and then you get population-based culture and science. So those are the governors I have right now. Like I said, my next governor pick is probably going to be Victor to get to garrison commander. And then later, you might consider Amani if you want to control a city-state, Moksha if you want to spread your religion, and Reyna if you want to focus on gold. Although I will say Reyna's not as useful for gold, again, because you can't use the Harbor Master gold triangle, which is what I would usually use her for. You get a city center, a harbor, and a commercial hub all adjacent to each other for good adjacency. Then you double the adjacency with Harbor Master. That's how I usually like to use her. The +1 appeal on tiles would be kind of useful, especially in the early game, and that extra gold. But I just didn't go that route with Reyna. I was getting enough gold from trade deals for a while, and then eventually I fielded a large enough army to like keep control of these cities even as they rebel, and that cost quite a bit of money. And that's when I start putting down commercial hubs to make sure I have enough money. And speaking of that, why don't we just go forward and check out the start of the Renaissance era. So here we are at the start of the Renaissance era, and I got a Dark Age. So I had successfully conquered Toronto. I think I had conquered Te Poko Hiwi. I think I conquered Ottawa and maybe Winnipeg as well. I also settled, kept pumping out settlers and settled Tervana, Avaricum, Bagacum, Lutetia or Lutetia, Duro, Duro Corteron, and Cenabum or Kenabum. So I settled a lot of cities. Like I said, I was getting out a lot of settlers. I was using the settler policy card and the ancestral hall, as well as serfdom for those builders, which is how my land got so improved so quickly. Um, I settled a lot, and I got these free cities that Canada left behind, the ancient race of Canadians, after their doom and gloom, like the doom of Valeria there. Um, but it wasn't enough. I built a lot of wonders in the classical era. I didn't really build as much in the medieval era. I did get the Colosseum here. I didn't get Jebel Barkal. Did I build any other wonders? No. I mean, I'll comment on this. I realized I built the Oracle here. I put the Theater Square there to get the Oracle bonus. I built the Government Plaza to give a bonus to this Theater Square. I built this Theater Square to get the +4 from these two wonders here. And then I thought, well, here are two theater squares with a tile in between. What do I do with that tile? Entertainment complex gives +2 culture to each of the theater squares. And with that entertainment complex, I was like, oh, okay, build the Colosseum. And again, it was this attitude of like, I have lots of production. I might as well try to build wonders because I might get them. The AI isn't always competitive over wonders. And, you know, if I don't get it, I'll just put the production somewhere else. If I do get it, that's great. And the Colosseum is now giving me culture and amenities to surrounding cities, which is nice. Let's see. I did put a Batey here, or Beatty, or however you say it, which is a unique improvement to Kagwana, which I believe is a relatively new city-state that they've added. They've also added Hunza, and I think the other ones they've all been here for a while. Yeah, so I settled these cities. I put some holy sites down, getting lots of faith from those. But I didn't get enough era score for a golden age, and since there's no normal ages in dramatic ages mode, I got a dark age instead. And then let's see. So I think Australia had Halifax. It looks like I had Winnipeg, or I was going for Winnipeg. Yeah, and it spawned units, which means it was already under my control. Oh yeah, and my Gaysate was in Winnipeg and got forced out behind these mountains. So he's going to go on an Nabasis-like journey. I'll try to bring him up this way, but it'll turn out that there's a barbarian outpost there and a crossbowman there. And with these hills, I couldn't get to the crossbowmen in time. So he actually ends up going through Spain all the way around up here to get back home. He's going for a journey, but let's just look. So before the Dark Age, let's count. Let's say I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, I think, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 cities, which is great. I think I might have got the, what was that? Paititi. Yeah, I got the historic moment for a sprawling empire. I had at least 3 more cities than my next biggest rival, with 18 cities, some of which were from Canada, some of them from Kupe and the Maori. But most of them were just settling because I got that ancestral hall out, had lots of space. I also had plans to target Hunza because they had a good Opidum spot, but I never ended up doing that. If I were really trying hard this game, then like I might have taken Hunza and Babylon because I wasn't really making use of their suzerain bonuses that much, or their district improvement bonuses. But in general, if I was just kind of too lazy to take over those city-states, and they were kind of nice to have. I was suzerain over them for a while anyway. So 18 cities, and then let's count how many rebelled. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 of 18 cities rebelled, which is, you know, almost half. Not quite half, but getting up there. And if you're not a deity player, don't worry. It's not like half of your cities are always going to rebel. That's truer of Deity than it is on any other difficulty, because you get a higher proportion of cities that rebel. If you're playing on or playing below settler difficulty, so 1, 2, or 3, sorry, prince difficulty. If you're playing on 1, 2, or 3, uh, then you have a fewer proportion of cities that rebel than the AI. And on Prince difficulty level 4, you and the AI lose the same proportion when you get Dark Ages. So don't be scared, unless you're going to be playing on Deity, and then be a little scared. And the trick, what I recommend is it gives you the warning. It says 10 turns until the next era. You look at your era score. You're not close to getting a golden age. It's flashing red. It looks scary. That is the time to start building units. It says, you say like, okay, I don't have a plan. I don't see my path to get a golden age. So I'm going to start changing production from like districts and stuff. I'm going to start producing units, and I need units that can take cities. So I make some Gay Cité. I make some knights out of all the iron I have. I make some crossbows because they don't take resources, and I build some catapults. Now the good news is I don't really need the catapults necessarily. I think the game might have crashed. All right. Okay. So sorry about that. The game crashed, but we got it restarted, and now we're back. As I was saying, you're in Dramatic Ages mode. You're about to get a Dark Age. You have 10 turns to prepare. I say switch to military if you don't already know you have a big enough force. I mean, the scary thing is you don't know which cities are going to rebel, and in this case, they rebelled in like all over the empire. They're going to be external cities. It's going to be the ones that have less loyalty pressure. So they're not going to really be the central ones. You can be sure about that, which means, which is good, because usually, your central cities are where the heart of your production and wonders and so on is. But the unfortunate thing is, like, you're going to need a lot of military to cover like this much territory. I have to conquer these cities. Actually, this one will flip. Yeah, that'll 48 turns, 10 turns. So this one will flip in 10 turns, but I have to like reconquer these cities and this city and these cities if I want to just catch up to where I was before this era started, which I want to do, because let's say I just like leave things as they are and I manage to hold on to these 11. Well, if I get another Dark Age, I'm going to lose more cities, and then I'll be down to like 5 or 6. I don't want that. So as soon as I know I'm going into a Dark Age, I want to prepare the military to capture the cities that are going to rebel. So I want to make as much military as possible on the fringes. I am making catapults because I want to be able to take down cities quickly and easily, even if they have, say, swordsmen inside them. Of course, my Gay Cité help with that. They're strong against swordsmen, and they're strong against city centers, especially with the King of the Eberons, or Eberones bonus, which gives +2 combat strength per adjacent unit to melee anti-cav ranged. So anyway, I want to build up military. You're also going to want to get gold. So right now I'm getting a pretty high gold income because I don't have that many advanced units. But I am, after I get a bunch of these units out, I am going to want lots of gold to maintain those units and to upgrade units as I unlock tech. So you can see I'm working on gunpowder right now. I never built an encampment, which is why I can't build an armory to boost this. So I'm just hard researching it. And I will be upgrading a lot of my Gay Cité to musket men once I get that, but that'll require a lot of gold. It'll also be made cheaper because of the mercenaries civic, which gives me professional army and retinues policy cards to make it cheaper to upgrade. So I had already gotten Merchant Republic here after I went for diplomatic service. Or maybe I got that before diplomatic service, but in any case. Oh yeah, and I also went for Divine Right earlier. Again, I was prioritizing some wonder stuff. So I think I went for Mont Saint Michel. I wanted Gothic architecture to build wonders faster. And also I wanted chivalry to build knights faster. So I went, even though I knew I was going for exploration and I probably got that one first, I backfilled a little bit to get to Divine Right for the ship, for the cards, and then also eventually I build Mont Saint Michel. Yeah, I haven't built it yet, but I will build it eventually. So I've already discovered Niter. I'm trying to improve my Niter. So what I'm going to want to do is build all this military and then build a bunch of, or like while you're doing that, build a bunch of commercial hubs like I did here to get gold and trade routes and so on in order to field that military. Because you don't want a huge deficit. That just makes everything real bad. So as you're building military, definitely want to build up gold. I often like getting harbors for that, but we've already talked about some of the problems with Gaul and harbors. I pinned a few locations for harbors, and some of those I want to build like for wonders and stuff. But commercial hubs. Commercial hubs too. It's hard to get the high adjacency. You can always get +2 if they're on a river, but unless you get a really good spot that's like on a river and adjacent to mines, like right here, you're not going to get a very good commercial hub adjacency bonus with the Gauls, just because they like usually rivers and harbor adjacency bonuses are like the best way to get adjacencies for commercial hubs, and then also regular district adjacency bonuses, which Gaul doesn't get. But anyway, I don't mind building those because in the medieval era, with the Owls of Minerva, you can unlock the Gilded Vault building, which I haven't unlocked yet, the ritual here, because I only have one commercial hub. I haven't built a market there yet, but probably, let's see, I already have Garrison Commander, so the next governor title I get will probably go to Ritual, which will allow me to build the Gilded Vault, which replaces the bank. I think it gives the same amount of money as the bank, 7, I believe. So it's not going to give me extra money, but it is going to make sure I get, let's just open the Gilded Vault here. We will get culture for the commercial hub's adjacency bonus, which is great. And it means if you do have a harbor, in addition to the gilded, like the commercial hub, you'll get an extra trade route capacity, which is a great bonus. Again, the Owls of Minerva, very strong if you're going culture, diplomacy, or if you're going for anything with military, just because it helps your economy so much, and that economy is crucial to having a good military. It's just like a less direct military bonus than, say, the Sanguine Pact, the vampires. So that's my plan here. Again, the loyalty is going to be the most annoying thing about taking these cities, so I had to put Magnus here. I want to put Victor there with Garrison Commander, because he'll use his +4 loyalty to all of these cities once I take them. But as soon as I take Ottawa, I'm going to have to move Liang over or Pingala over and so on, because the cities are going to fall pretty quickly. So I think in the end, I move my forces over to take Ottawa. I move some to Winnipeg, some to Avaricum, some back to Te Pokohiwi, and then I think I probably have to retake Toronto at some point, maybe Ottawa as well. So I have to retake the cities, which is annoying. And once you say I take Ottawa, I think even if it's a free city and you invade, you're going to reduce its population, so then they're going to have to build back up over time. So it's not ideal to have to retake these by force. It's more ideal here, for example, it'll rebel in 10 turns, and even though my icon isn't flashing here, there's no one else around, so I know it's not going to go to someone else. So in this case, I think I do take it back by force, but in this case, it's it'll come back to me in 10 turns. That'll be even less time if I take these 2 cities, because those will exert loyalty pressure on that if I take these. So if you see that it's rebelling and you're sure it's not going to go to another civ, you might just camp a unit here, let them attack your unit, but not bother taking the city by force, because that might just be a waste of time. It might be just as easy or easier to let the city flip back to you through loyalty pressure. Once I take these cities, for example, Avaricum will just flip back to me through loyalty pressure. I think I did that later in the game. And if it has any more than 1 population, especially, it's nice to let it flip due to loyalty, because then it doesn't reduce any of the population. So that's just a little strategy there. What else to say here? Tech-wise, did I do anything new? I basically just, yeah, like I said previously, I wanted to get crossbows, knights. I wanted to get to niter and gunpowder. Um, I I switched to, I'm focusing on these military techs mostly because I knew that I had to get military just to keep taking these cities, like the cities that rebel in a dark age. I had alliances with Australia and Spain, my closest neighbors, aside from the Maori, who like never really got a foothold on the continent. So since I have those alliances, I don't have to worry as much about military. So if I didn't have to worry about retaking free cities, then I might focus more on like economic science or techs. I might like rush to industrialization, get coal and factories and so on. But because I have to field that military, that's why I sort of went with these military techs and a little bit of science tech there. Um, so that's what I did there. I think I already talked about this, which is I got alliances so I could get that cultural alliance. I went for exploration to get my my government, which I knew I wanted that one. Reformed Church would also be okay because I'm generating faith, and I'm eventually going to use that faith on naturalists and rock bands. So getting that faith discount. I guess rock bands come after the other governments, but at least the naturalists you can get a discount on. So Reformed Church would have been okay, but in general, exploration's like my default unless I'm actually going for a faith-based game. Um, Sometimes I'll go for Divine Right first and then transition in exploration, but in this case I just went for exploration. And then I did Divine Right. I didn't do the monarchy government at all. I just needed these cards. I needed chivalry for knights, and I needed Gothic architecture for some wonders. Uh, did I go for any other wonders yet? I think I already mentioned the Colosseum, which I built in the medieval era. I don't think I built any others, went for any others just yet. Um, Looking ahead at the techs, the Hagia Sophia would be nice. Alhambra would be nice, although I didn't go for it. Um, yeah, nothing there was like super essential in this era or the coming era. Like I said, I'm going for the Taj Mahal, definitely. I wanted Gothic architecture so I could build Taj Mahal, which is fantastic in dramatic ages, much stronger in dramatic ages than it is in the base mode. So I think that's my next one, and I build it somewhere over here. I think like right there, maybe, or maybe there is where I build the Taj Mahal, just to get extra. It has to be adjacent to a river, and I want to get extra theater square adjacency bonuses from it. Card-wise, I want to get plus 100% industrial zone adjacency bonuses because my Opida have really high adjacency, and this just increases their production even more. I want to double holy site adjacency bonuses with scripture because I have some really strong, let's see, yeah, 11 and 8 faith holy sites. Those are the base numbers with Dance of the Aurora helping and the Natural Wonder helping. But it'll double it, and that gives me a lot more faith. I end up getting the intelligence agency here instead of the Grandmaster's Chapel. If I got Grandmaster's Chapel, then I would be able to faith purchase military units with all this faith, which would be really strong. Of course, it would cut into my tourism victory a little bit later. So I think that's why I ultimately went with the intelligence agency. I did put down these holy sites. I did use my great prophet, so I did get a religion. Like I said, I think I got the last one, but it was okay. My first choice of belief would probably have been choral music, just so that my holy sites were a bit more useful, giving me culture, because I'm playing a cultural game. But I think that had already been picked. I think the AI likes to pick choral music quite quickly. So I went with Jesuit education instead, just so I could spend my faith on theater square buildings and campus buildings, although they weren't going to be a priority. And because I wasn't I wasn't conquering, I decided to be a little thematic with Gaul. They're pitched as a very defensive civ, so I figured get defenders of the faith, be extra defensive in my cities, which is useful. So like here, for example, Swordsman spawn next to my Gay Cité. All I have to do is fortify that Gay Cité, and the enemies will just like suicide themselves onto him, or onto them, because some of them are women, as you can see. Nice attention to detail. And so that the Gay Cité is getting +10 against these because they have a higher base combat strength. He's also getting +2 for each of them because they're adjacent. And then with Defender of the Faith, following my religion, which is raiding, with a little cow symbol. So I figure that's what the Gauls would do. Getting +5 from being in territory following the religion. One thing I am spending my faith on, as you can see, I also got lay ministry just to get a little extra faith and culture from Holy Site and Theater Square districts. I never ended up getting a worship building just because it didn't feel like it was worth the faith by the time I got around to it. Instead, I was spending my faith on missionaries, apostles, and inquisitors to clear out the Buddhism in my land and spread my raiding religion just to my cities. I was never planning to go offensively with it. Although I will say that in these dramatic Dark Ages where they rebel, it can be very useful to have the crusade belief, because like Avaricum, for instance, I made it follow my religion. I think I might have used an inquisitor or at least a missionary to make it follow my religion. Well, if I had crusade instead of Defender of the Faith, then my military units would get +10 in its borders, which is arguably a bit better for retaking your cities than Defender of the Faith is. Even though here, for example, I'm getting a pretty good bonus of Defender from the Faith when they attack me. But Crusade lets you take the fight for them, and it gives you twice the combat strength bonus that Defender of the Faith does. If you know that you're going to have to, that if you're getting a religion and you know that you're going to have to retake cities in Dark Ages, Crusade can be a really strong pick. I mean, it's just always a good pick. Even if you're not worried about rebellions, which you should be in Dramatic Ages, and you're not going on the offensive, you might just take Crusade to keep it out of the hands of someone like Byzantium, who can make really strong use of it. Looks like Byzantium also got a Dark Age. Let's see what... Yeah, okay, so the Renaissance... This is the worst Renaissance ever. Everyone is in the Dark Age, so everyone had a little bit of rebellion. The only thing is on Deity, the rebellions are... There are far more of them for us than there are for the AI. Halifax belonged to Australia, but you can see it rebelled. It was the only city to rebel from Australia, unfortunately. So we had, what did we say? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cities rebel from us. 1 rebelled from Australia, so that's great. But yeah, so Crusade would have been a great choice, but I just went with these ones. And I didn't end up getting the worship building, but that's my religion. It might make sense to get like Hagia Sophia up here next to the holy site just to be able to spread it, but I really wasn't focusing on the religious game. I wasn't trying to spread it to anyone else. I just wanted it in my own lands for that Defender of the Faith bonus and to get a little bit of extra faith and culture out of it. But there's lots of good religious things that you could pick. If I were building more holy sites, I might have chosen work ethic, because now work ethic is pretty strong if you get good holy site adjacency. As it is, I would have had like really high producing cities here with work ethic, but I realized I don't really care about these cities that much. They're not very great cities anyway, because they're mostly in tundra. This one's in tundra and snow. So, you know, I could have made these cities stronger with work ethic, but I wasn't planning on building holy sites anywhere else, just because like these holy sites were so good. So that's why I didn't pick work ethic. Although, you know, looking back, if I was settling these cities next to mountains and stuff, if I had, instead of building campuses, I was building like holy sites here and here, then like work ethic would be really good, and would be good, especially in conjunction with all of the extra production you get from the Apida. But in any case, those are the beliefs I chose. And this is where we are as of the start of the Renaissance. It's a pretty grim, dark era. This is truly a dark age for the world, not just for us. But the plan is to retake all these cities quickly enough, and using governors and policy cards with loyalty Oh, yeah, and once I take Ottawa, they have an entertainment complex. I can use the Bread and Circuses project there, which will spread to all of these cities, give them a little bit of extra loyalty pressure. So that's a really good plan. Really pay attention to entertainment complexes. Build them on your borders if you need to, or like, you know, build them in areas where you know cities are likely to rebel. And and in this case, like I didn't put that one down. I think Canada did. But if you find them in a conquered city, like thank your lucky stars and use the Bread and Circuses project, because it's going to be very useful for maintaining city loyalty. Okay, so that is the start of the Renaissance era. Why don't we just jump forward to the Industrial era? So it is the Industrial era, and womp womp womp, I got another Dark Age. This time, we didn't settle any more cities, but we got a few less cities to rebel this time, and I think that might be because I had more cities and more loyalty pressure in them. You can see I'm running Bread and Circuses here in Ottawa. Its loyalty is decreasing, but I've got governors in it. I got governors there. I've got Garrison Commander Victor in Tirvana. So I'm going to be able to hold it. I'm going to take Toronto, Winnipeg, Avaricum. This time I only lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cities instead of 7. So I held on. I kept Ottawa, but lost Toronto. That's breaking even. But I kept Bagacum, so I did a little bit better this time around. And now the project again. Once I saw I was going into a Dark Age, I just decided build some military. I had already started building gold, commercial hubs and stuff before that in order to upgrade my military, so that was really helpful as well. But that Dark Age was coming, and so I just started upgrading military as much as possible. And you can see now I'm already teching into ballistics, which will be my first tech of the Industrial era proper, and that's just going to let me get field cannons out of my crossbows, upgrade my knights to cuirassiers, both very useful. Again, if I wasn't heading into a Dark Age, I probably would have prioritized industrialization because I have all of those Uppida, but I think ballistics is the choice here. I mean, it could also make sense to go for cavalry with military science, but that would take a little bit more. I had already teched forward with to get bombards to take down cities. The main reason I wanted bombards is because, unlike the last era, where I think none of the cities that rebelled had walls, I did start building lots of walls in my cities because I wanted the tourism bonus from them that you get when you research the tourism or the conservation civic. And I knew I was going to sort of regret this because I knew if I get a golden or a Dark Age and cities rebel, I would rather them not have walls. So I think it can make good strategic sense if you're not under pressure of conquest from enemy civs. So Australia and Spain are friends of mine, so I don't have to worry about them attacking me. And the Maori had much lower combat strength of his military than me, so I didn't have to worry about like a Maori sea invasion. You might not want to build walls in your like border cities because those are the ones that are going to flip, and if they don't have walls, they're going to be much easier to take. Lutetia, very easy to take. I just have to like kill a couple musketmen and basically like a single musketman and like bombard can take out the city. But with walls, it's a little bit trickier, especially if you build them up to Renaissance walls. Then I think not even siege towers will work anymore. I think. Maybe that's wrong, but you'll definitely need catapults and bombards. So that's why I teched to bombards, was because I knew all these cities with walls, which I decided to build because I wanted that tourism in the late game, which turns out not to matter. So I mean, I guess if you think it's likely that a city's gonna rebel, just don't even bother building walls because you won't get that tourism bonus, because once they rebel, you'll have to destroy their walls to take the city anyway. So this was probably a mistake on my part, to build walls in all of these like border cities that were likely to rebel. And I knew which ones were likely to rebel because they're the same ones for the most part that rebelled before. So yeah, so maybe just don't build walls at all in cities if they're likely to rebel. If I had if I had settled like more cities outside of these ones, you know, maybe I build walls inside. But so maybe just don't build walls in your border cities. That's just the tip there. But I built the walls because I was getting greedy for the tourism bonus, and so I had to build bombards to deal with those walls and get them down really fast. This time, instead of spawning swordsmen, they spawned musketmen. I'm not sure exactly what makes the free city spawn which unit. I don't know if it's just when you have access to it, or if it depends on whether or not you have the unit. But you might be aware of that as well. So earlier I said, you know, you're headed for a dark age, you know, do military, but maybe you don't want to, say, research gunpowder. If you're, let's say you have knights, you have stirrups, and you get a dark age in 10 turns, and say it's like, I could research gunpowder in 8 turns, but then they're going to spawn musketmen instead of swordsmen. So maybe you don't go for gunpowder right away in that case, just as an example. But I think the free cities always initially rebel with warrior line units, with 2 of them. That's what it looks like. They will eventually spawn ranged units and horsemen and so on. But I think their initial spawn is just always with those warrior units, which means the best counter to these free city rebellions is ranged units. So have some crossbowmen or field cannons, and then you want bombards, like the catapult line, to take down the city's health and walls, and then just use like knights, light cavalry, or the swordsman line, or the pikeman line, honestly, to just capture the city. So mainly you want range to deal with the free city units, and then some catapult line stuff to take down the cities. What else happened in the Renaissance era? You can see I built the Taj Mahal there. Okay, so it wasn't next to a theater square. I think I was thinking I could put down a theater square here from Divo Durum. I don't know if I ever eventually did that. It would be a really good theater square. It's got it's got a couple wonders next to it. It's got that +1 from the government plaza, and it's got a couple mines, so I'd get +1 from those. So I don't remember if I ever did, but I definitely do want a theater square there. That's going to be a good spot for one. I also started building Mont Saint Michel. I didn't care because I wasn't spreading my religion to other people. I wasn't worried if I got this or not, but I figured I have time, I have production in my capital, I might as well try to get more wonders, because more wonders means more tourism. And I also, with my advanced culture, as you can see, I'm ahead of all the AIs on culture. I'm pretty far behind on science, but this is a cultural game, and you only want to prioritize science insofar as you need it to defend yourself. And right now I have weaker units than everyone else, like than Byzantium, for example. I'm sure his units are teched higher than mine, but I have more units than him, as you can see from my combat strength. So I don't have to prioritize science very much. Basically, with Deity, you just want to prioritize whatever your victory type is. And so I snowballed to get ahead on culture. I sacrificed science to do that, but as long as you're able to defend, and Gaul, for example, excels at defense, that is fine. You can get away with not building or getting as much science, as long as you're getting ahead on military and culture, which is what I'm doing. So I am ahead on culture. So I unlocked Statue of Liberty and the Civil Engineering Public Works card. Sorry, not Public Works, skyscrapers to get better wonder construction. Started building the Bolshoi Theater. That's where I'm going with this. Started building Bolshoi there. I eventually tried to build the Hermitage Museum as well. I forget if I build it there or whatever. Another wonder I got is the Mausoleum of Halicarnassus. Now this is another wonder that I built just to see if I could get it. But it does have very good synergy with Gaul. So I built it adjacent to a harbor that I built with Elysia. I couldn't build a commercial hub there, so I built the harbor over there next to the fit. Is that right? Or did I build that? Is that harbor? Yeah, that harbor can't be 1, 2, 3. Yeah. That harbor belongs to Alesia. But I built the mausoleum in the capital, I believe. Let me just check that. Yeah, that's in the capital. And the reason I wanted the mausoleum was not the sea tiles, which is a good reason to get the mausoleum if you have a coastal city. It would have been much better to build the mausoleum in Alesia in order to make better use of all the good coastal yields. You get like +1 science, +1 culture, +1 faith, maybe some extra gold, I can't remember, from cities with the mausoleum. But my capital isn't actually getting these bonuses. That my borders spread that far because of all the extra culture I have, because of all the culture bombs I did. Your borders spread really far, but you can only work tiles that are within 3 of your city. So I can't get those bonuses in the capital. But the mausoleum has another bonus, which is double, or actually additional. It's not double. It's just 1 additional charge on great engineers. And the reason this has such good synergy with Gaul is because of their Opida. You build Opida very quickly, very early on, and you probably want to build a lot of them. Because they're half-price production costs, you probably want to build an Oppidum in every city that has a good spot for one. And with all those Oppida and workshops that you're going to build, you're going to get a lot of great engineer points. I actually held on to both of the great engineers that I got prior to building the mausoleum so that I could get an extra +1. So remember that if you have a great engineer, if you hold on to it and then build the mausoleum of Halicarnassus, you will retroactively get +1 charge on that great engineer. You only don't get the +1 if you've already exhausted that engineer. So think about that in your strategies. I had James of St. George, for example, which I think starts with 2 charges. I used him once to get the boost to the tech for Ancient Walls, and then I held on to him just in case I needed like instant walls somewhere quick. I didn't exhaust him, and then when I built that, I got an extra charge, which is great. And then same with Bishang. I didn't have a reason to build an extra district in a city. I guess it would have been good to get the printing technology a little bit earlier. Actually, I still haven't gone for that because I didn't go for the Forbidden City, although that would be a good wonder to get if I weren't so military focused right now. So same with Bishang. I saved him until I built the mausoleum, and now I have 2 charges on him. So that's pretty good. That's why I went for that wonder. Is there anything else? I am building the Colossus here. Again, if I don't get it, I don't care. But since the AI hasn't gotten it already, there's a good chance that they're not going for it anytime soon. So I said, what the heck, and slapped down the Colossus, and I do end up getting it. And again, my thought is just how to turn production into tourism for my culture victory. The main way to do that is with wonders, and then if you can't get wonders, or if you're not getting wonders, you can put production into theater square festival projects to get great person points. And then so go for wonders. If wonders fail, go for theater squares, basically. That's how you turn your production into a tourism victory. But let's see. So we talked about science, tech, we talked about tech. Civics-wise, I was just going for fairly standard stuff. I was going for these wonders, specifically like the Bolshoi, the Hermitage. I will eventually build the Statue of Liberty, even though, again, I'm not going for a diplomacy victory, so it's not crucial that I get it. But if I get it, it's good for me anyway. I'm also not sure if it says all your cities with 6 tiles are always 100% loyal. I wonder if that means the Statue of Liberty makes cities immune to rebellion. In which case, like, it would be really cool to get the Statue of Liberty like here, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so it wouldn't quite matter there, but if I could get the Statue of Liberty like here, maybe it would keep lots of cities from rebelling in Dark Ages. I'm not sure if the Statue of Liberty helps with that, because I don't know if the underlying mechanic of the Dark Age rebellion in Dramatic Ages works via loyalty, or if it works, via a different mechanism in the code. That's just sort of something to test and try out. But in any case, going fairly standard. We are ahead on culture, and we're getting more for every unit we make. So the plan is to get conservation, start making naturalists for national parks, and then just go for these, for Broadway, for Cristo Redentor, just standard culture victory wonders. I want to get democracy, get to rock bands, get to Sydney Opera House, get to Stadio de Maracana, and then get the late game civics. That's the plan going forward. For here, it's just standard culture victory stuff. Go for these wonders. Go for the cards that help you. Go for naturalists and so on. Government-wise, I'm focusing on military stuff, on wonder production, and a lot of gold, because I was running behind on gold at this point, and I needed a lot of gold to maintain my military, to upgrade my military. So right now it's focused on gold. I might have to swap out some of the gold stuff as I conquer these cities in order to increase loyalty. So you might still go for the Limitane military loyalty card. You might go for the Praetorium governor loyalty card, and as always, you might want to spam some bread and circuses just to keep these cities as loyal as possible. But my plan for this era is just to do more of the same. It's to reconquer these cities using my bombards and musketmen, and then field cannons and cuirassiers, and to build wonders in my central area. So I want to finish Mont Saint Michel. I want to build Bolshoi. I want to build Hermitage. I want to build Statue of Liberty if I can. I eventually build Statue of Liberty in my capital over here. I replace that boosted tile and build the Colossus. I think I go for Hagia Sophia and fail, and then I go for what's that one? The Russian one. St. Basil's. I do build St. Basil's in Wanganui, which is great because it's a good tundra. It's like tundra Petra, basically. So I do get that one as well. So I go for that. So that's how I want to play in the industrial era. Was there anything to say about religion? No. Great people. I look at this. I don't see anything that's like helping the tourism victory, with the exception of these ones. Except getting Gustav Eiffel would be great. So Australia's got more great engineer points than me, but if I do some industrial zone projects or oppidum projects, I can get ahead of Australia and go for the wonder construction engineer, which is always good for a tourism victory. I didn't end up getting Gustav Eiffel, I don't think, but it's fine because it turns out that I built lots of wonders without any great engineers that rushed wonders, and that's mostly because I get to the wonders sooner with my high culture. That's the main way culture helps you in the culture victory. It doesn't help you directly win, but culture helps you get to things faster that do help you win. Same with science. If you can get higher science, then you can get to wonders faster. You can get to Forbidden City faster. You can get to like Ruhr Valley faster, Oxford University, all great wonders. But I didn't prioritize them, and I didn't prioritize science this game, so I didn't build them. Other people built them before I could. Oftentimes they would build these scientific-based wonders before I could even discover them, before I could like start to build them. But that didn't matter because we have cultural wonders. And let's see, any historic moments worth talking about? Not really. We did an Inquisition. Oh, we didn't talk about Dark Age policies. So we already saw some of the Golden Age policies. Here we can see some of the Dark Age ones. Some of them are the same or similar to Dark Age dedications Dark Age policies in the past, like isolationism improves domestic trade routes, but makes it so you can't settle new cities. Robber barons, you get gold and production, but lose amenities. A couple of new ones, despotic paternalism. You get +4 loyalty in cities with governors, but -15% science and culture in cities without governors. If I really needed the extra loyalty pressure from governors to hold on to some free cities as I take them back, then this would be a good card in. You don't want to leave it in forever, so you just want to put it in long enough to get a mass of cities, and then take it out, because you don't want that culture and science penalty. That's 15% is pretty high, but if need be, you could do that. Samo der Javier, which is probably I don't know, Turkish or something. Plus 50% production in capital, but all governors are neutralized and cannot be reestablished. That is a tough one, especially because like you need governors take back all the rebelled cities, and then your loyalty is fine, and then you really need to like get something out in the capital. Like you really want to rush a wonder. Here, I'm getting a lot of wonders, like not even in my capital. I'm getting them in this city and other cities. I am getting a bunch in my capital as well, but I'm not focusing on that. So I don't really, I'm not using that card anytime soon. And then soft targets is actually a really good one to use for taking cities. So basically, you get combat strength versus city attacks and district defenses, but you lose combat strength against units. So it's really easy. The Free City Rebellion troops, they basically suicide themselves onto you. So just fortify your troops in your own borders, let the musketmen come to you and get killed, and then put in soft targets to take down the cities. The free cities will spawn other units slowly. So you might get a little bit of penalty against other units, but if you've like cleared out all these musketmen and you just have the cities left to take, put in soft targets. It's a great card for that. And yeah, so I'd recommend that. Those are the Dark Age policies. I don't think we talked about them last era. Probably some of them are the same. Probably some of them are different. But anything else to talk about in the Industrial Era? We still haven't explored very much. I do have some harbors, but I haven't worked on building any ships. I don't really see a point to doing much exploration just yet. And I don't actually do any exploring until I get a Great Admiral, because I have more harbors than most people. So eventually I get a Great Admiral, and I just use him to explore instead of building any ships. And that's a good thing you can do with great people. I guess I could do that with these great engineers that I'm not using. I could just sail them into the sea to see what they can see. But I'm keeping the engineers close. But if you get a Great Admiral and you're not using them for anything, you might as well just explore with them. I still haven't met many people we know. So this is a standard game. There's supposed to be 8 players total, including me. So 7 AI. We know Canada's out, so we would expect 2 more. And we just expect them to be, on this other continent over here. But I haven't found them. It's good to find them for a tourism victory, because you want to get as much international tourism with as many civs as possible. You want to have trade routes to as many civs as possible, and you want to have open borders with as many civs as possible. So it would actually behoove me to explore and find them. I just haven't been able to bother yet. Once I get my lands under control, then might be the time to like build ships to go exploring. But as it is right now, I'm just focusing on building wonders, building military, and having the infrastructure to support those wonders and support that military. That's the main game plan right now. So why don't we jump ahead to the modern era now? Now that's what you like to see. This is the start of the modern era, and we have a golden age. Australia and Spain also had a golden age, so this is a good time for our little alliance. Our enemies, Byzantium and the Maori, not doing as well. I can't see any Maori cities, but some of them have rebelled. I'm sure Byzantium has a city or 2 that's rebelled, even though I can't see them. But it's a golden age for us, which is great. We don't have any cities to retake, so we just spread out our military. I had positioned my military in strategic locations to where if I did get a Dark Age, I could just easily destroy the city's walls and take them very quickly. But you can see I did that here as well. But it turned out to be unnecessary, which is great. So after I got my lands under control, I was just building wonders. I built the Bolshoi, I built the Broadway, I built the Hermitage up there. I built the lighthouse of the Great Lighthouse. Uh, Again, that was a wonder that like I don't care about in this game. It's not necessary. But no one else built it, so I'm gonna build it. Get some extra tourism. There's St. Basil's there. That's a beautiful wonder, and it's a fun one for giving extra culture and stuff to Tundra tiles. And you can see I did eventually get that Great Admiral in that harbor, and I did sail it out to find the new world. It turns out we found some these sound like Maori names. So we found Maori cities, but they are free cities, and we are exploring, as you can see here. I got that slow unit animation on. Isn't that fun? And eventually I will, this goes to a dead end. It goes to a city that actually is Maori controlled, I believe. But then I sail the Edmore back around, and I find the world is actually a dark place. Instead of finding other civs, instead of finding Rome and what turns out to be Sparta are the last two civs that I haven't met, I just find a continent full of free cities and then a few Maori cities up here just barely hanging on. I'll show you those later, but it turns out dramatic ages can be rough on the AI as well, even on Deity where they have less of a penalty. I think if they just don't get in the right spot, if they lose cities to an early Dark Age, and those cities exert loyalty pressure on their capital, it's just really easy for entire civilizations to flip to free cities. And once they become free cities, they just stay free cities until someone else conquers them. And in this case, the Maori couldn't do it. The Maori lost some of their cities, and things didn't go well on this other continent. This is a thriving continent, no doubt, in part thanks to good Gallic leadership of the world. But the other continent that was, almost literally a dark continent. I don't know. I hope that term is not offensive, but in any case, this is our glorious empire. Let's check out. We have 225 tourism, which is how much we want. We have already created some naturalists. We're just getting rid of some mine tiles, putting down forests so that our naturalists can go to work, make some national parks. National parks are excellent for getting era score. The first one gives you 5. The next, anyone after gives you 4. So once you get to this point, naturalists are great. A really good way of getting era score. The only problem is that they start costing more and more faith, so it really slows down. But we got a lot of these wonders. I think I also got Cristo Redentor. Did I already get it? Yeah. Got Cristo right there. You can see I don't have a lot of flat coast, so I only put down a few seaside resorts. I don't really make use of those, but I do plan out. I have a good national park there. I have a national park there. I could make a national park there, make a national park there, here, and then a few in this city. I don't end up using them all. Eventually, I switch from naturalists to rock bands, but at the start I find some good national park diamonds and I make a lot of use of those. Tech wise, let's see, after ballistics I realized I was close to steel, so I stopped and picked up industrialization. Then I went to steel just to get the Eiffel Tower, which I am in the middle of building here. The Eiffel Tower will give me +1 appeal to tiles empire-wide, which is very good for settling or establishing national parks and seaside resorts in the first place, but also gives you more tourism for them because the tourism is based on appeal. That is a great thing to get. So I went for steel, and then I went for flight because you get some extra tourism stuff from flight, and then radio to get those seaside resorts and get broadcast centers. And once you get steel for the Eiffel Tower, if you want that, and then you get radio, you probably want to rush computers because that gives you a spy and 25% tourism across your empire. And then you're pretty much done with the scientific tech tree. There's the biosphere now, which if you're really high on science but want to go for a culture victory, I guess that could make a lot of sense. In this case, someone else built it. I think Byzantium built it long before I could ever build it. I don't even know if I ever researched synthetic materials in this game. Um, you could go for Golden Gate Bridge. It's really hard to place, so I wouldn't prioritize it. But yeah, once you get steel, radio, and computers, you don't really need any of the science tree. Obviously, you want to keep researching. You want to keep your army strong. There's some late game stuff that can help, I guess, maybe with culture stuff. I assume I can't think of anything off the top of my head. There's extra tile improvements you can get, like solar farms and whatnot, but that really helps more with the diplomacy victory than the cultural victory. Yeah, so that's like the plan. Is just we got steel, build the Eiffel Tower, get to flight, get to radio, get to computers, and then don't worry about the tech tree. I think I set it to future tech, so it would just research everything, and I just didn't care anymore after that point. Civics-wise, we did what I said. We got conservation, we got cultural heritage to build the Sydney Opera House, and put us in the atomic era for some extra era score. I went for democracy because communism can be okay for wonder building, but I didn't really need the science. I just wanted... I got the extra production from trading with my allies. If I didn't have any allies, then I probably wouldn't go with democracy, but I definitely didn't need fascism because I wasn't doing much military. And communism would be okay, but I just didn't need it. I think democracy is the better pick in this case. I already have naturalists. The next thing to do is to go for stadiums, this extra theater square card with amenities, ski resorts, and then rock bands. And once I have naturalists and rock bands and ski resorts and seaside resorts, it's just like spam builders, build woods, build seaside resorts, build ski resorts, use your faith on naturalists until I get one rock band to when it's time to get the boost to distributed sovereignty, own a rock band. Before that, I just use naturalists, and I usually will keep doing naturalists as long as I have national parks to build until I get to future era civics and get a policy card that lets you pick any promotion for a rock band. By that point, it's usually probably better to just do rock bands because they start out a little bit cheaper. I think you get more tourism in the short term from rock bands, and it's easier to keep them alive, keep them rocking when you have that policy card. So that's probably a good time to switch. That's the plan going forward. It's just to like get these good tourism output things, get environmentalism for that plus 25% tourism, get social media for that plus 50% to trade routes, so tourism, social media, then distributed sovereignty, and then go for future civics and find the rock band civic as soon as you can, which takes a little bit of luck and guesswork, but that's the plan there. Government-wise, let's have a look at these new policies. So culture industry is a new one. Cities receive +1 culture for every specialty district, plus 25% production towards non-specialty districts, that's neighborhoods, aqueducts, and so on. Entertainment complex and water park district buildings can be bought with faith. So this is an interesting one. If you're going to build a lot of neighborhoods and so on, you might think about slotting it in. Of course, if you're behind on culture, it might be good. But I think you actually don't want to use this for a culture victory. It's like by the time you're in the modern era, you should already be ahead on culture. If you're not, you're probably not going to go for or win a culture victory anyway. And in this game, I didn't build a single neighborhood. I built a couple of aqueducts. I didn't even build any dams. I just didn't waste my production on that kind of infrastructure because I already had lots of production, lots of cities. I just wanted to build wonders, builders, and do projects, city projects. So, and also, if you're going for a culture victory, at this point, you don't want to spend faith on anything except tourism. You don't want to spend faith on entertainment complexes and water parks, unless maybe if you're Byzantium, you could buy some entertainment complex buildings and get some free heavy cavalry, but that's not going for a culture victory. So anyway, culture industry, it's a new golden age policy. It's pretty cool, but I wouldn't do it for a culture victory. I would probably do this if I were going for a science or military victory and just wanted to catch up on culture. while building up my cities to like have a big production hub for the science victory or something like that. Or maybe diplomacy. Um, if you if you needed culture for the diplomatic victory, although again there you should already be ahead on that. And you could use the faith to get stadia for the Olympics or something like that, World Games, whatever it's called. Heartbeat of Steam. This is an old dedication, 10% towards wonders. I would put this in if I were still building wonders, but I think I already built most of the wonders that I needed from the Industrial Era. Actually, I should put this in, and maybe I do. Maybe I did in my real game, because I'm still building the Eiffel Tower. St. Basil's is one turn away from being completed. That's not even Industrial or later. I think that's medieval. Or Renaissance, either one. So that's Heartbeat of Steam. To Arms is a dedication. I'm not building lots of military. And Reform the Coinage. Traders can't be plundered. You get more gold per specialty district in foreign city. That's good if you're going for gold or military or something like that. So these ones are existing Golden Age dedications that are just now policies in dramatic ages. Sakdina is a new one. While your projects are active, each of your citizens exert 0.5 loyalty pressure to their city. When your project's complete, receive plus 10% additional great people points for every building in that project's district. This is a really cool policy. If you are going for lots of great people, put it in, get extra great people. It's really strong. You can get up to 30% great people points if you have all the buildings in your district. You also get that extra loyalty. So if you are I don't know, if you're conquering your neighbor, or something happens and your cities are losing loyalty, obviously you can only get that card in the Golden Age, so you can't use it to fight back against rebelling cities. But say I'm losing some loyalty, then I could just run projects. I can run bread and circuses in Ottawa, and it'll give extra loyalty to surrounding cities. So that's a decent bonus. But I'd say the great people points are where Sakdina is really useful. Anything else? Not for policies. Religion hasn't changed. I've, as you can see from the religion lens, I've spread rating to my whole empire, and I'm content to leave it with that. I'm not even bothering to convert these city-states back to mine. Got a lot of great works. Got a lot of... I got Mary Leakey, which gave me science for great artifacts. I can't tell if this is a bug. Mary Leakey's information says that she gives science for artifacts, but this indicates that it also works on great works of writing, but not works of art or music. So I don't know if that's how it's supposed to be. Let's just have a look at Mary Leakey. Does it mention writing? There we go, Mary Leakey. Artifacts generate 300% of their normal tourism. Oh, never mind. I'm getting that bonus from something else, not from Mary Leakey. Okay, so she just triples the tourism from artifacts. I don't remember what is giving me science from great works of... Oh, it's Babylon. Duh. Okay, Babylon is giving me science from great works of writing and relics and artifacts. So we solved that mystery. Anything else? I'm researching professional sports. I'm going to start putting ski resorts down. I will build the Estadio Dominicana here in Byzantium, where we already have the Cristo Redentor, so basically where Byzantium is Rio de Janeiro. I will build the Statue of Liberty here, again, just for the wonder tourism. I don't really need the loyalty or the Diplo points, although it will turn out that even though I'm going for a tourism victory, I get very close to a diplomacy victory because I build the Statue of Liberty, and because I get lots of gold and donate to disaster relief projects, and then I get ahead on culture and get the carbon recapture project, and I spam a bunch of those, and I ally with a bunch of city-states. So I end up getting lots of diplomatic favor, and I get a bunch of diplomatic victory points. And in fact, if I didn't win from tourism within like 12 turns of when I actually did, I might have won a diplomatic victory in the World Congress. But that's just something that's like hedging my bets. Basically, I'm not like trying to go for that. I'm just trying to go for tourism. I want to found national parks in these cities. I already founded these national parks up here. Oh no, I'm about to found those national parks. And I'm keeping that Great Admiral exploring, as I already said. Governors, we unlocked indoctrination, and next era will unlock master plan. So indoctrination, you get an extra wildcard policy slot, which is just very strong. You get +2 spy capacity, also pretty strong. Your cities gain +4 loyalty per turn and +1 amenity when your spy is in their territory. So if I did have a dark age, I would probably want indoctrination early and put spies in cities as soon as I take them in order to increase their loyalty. I think you could probably stack spies. You could probably put multiple spies in a single city to give as much loyalty as possible. And then eventually their atomic era is the master plan. Every turn you earn 3% of the gold in your treasury as income, up to 1,000. That's like up to getting 1,000 interest, which is an insane amount. But you can get insane amounts of gold with this if you just let it sit. You know, the rich get richer. It's how the world works. And whenever an offensive spy mission is successful, you gain half of the science, culture, gold, and faith in that targeted city that they earned that turn. Which doesn't sound huge. It's kind of interesting, and it just helps with like lots of different victory types, which can make Isles of Minerva good for not just culture or just diplomacy, also for science, or maybe just catching up on science. Even though if you're going for science, you'll probably want to go for the Ley Lines Society, whatever, that's the alchemists. They're kind of more scientifically oriented, but you could do well with the Isles of Minerva too. I mean, getting an economic policy and a wildcard policy are just very strong bonuses for anyone, regardless of victory type. Those are our governors, and I also, because I have so many Oppida with so many factories, I got vertical integration to rush out wonders really quickly. With Pingala, I'm going for the Curator, put him in the capital with all my great works, get extra tourism. Moksha just to spread some religion. I think I just got Moksha to spread religion and exert loyalty pressure. That's right, I got him because once I founded my religion, if your city is not following your religion, you lose 3 loyalty per turn, and that 3 loyalty per turn makes a big difference when you're fighting for every loyalty point in cities that are rebelling. So I put Moksha in here to make the cities stable and also spread my religious pressure to the surrounding cities, just because I needed them to follow my religion in order to keep them stable loyalty-wise. Now, probably using Inquisitors was like the most the bigger part of that than using Moksha, but Moksha is not a bad choice if you found a religion and need that religion in your cities for loyalty pressure. So that's just a few notes. We can see climate hasn't changed yet. It will change. It doesn't actually get to stage 7. I think I win before that, phase 7. But I do have coal power plants in my cities polluting, as you can see. Lovely pollution. But yeah, not much else to say. This is the modern era. It's a golden era, and let's move on. All right. Okay, so let's exit out of the trade screen. I'm using trade routes in whatever city is building a wonder. So this was building Colossus, and then St. Basil's, and then the Sydney Opera House. So I put a lot of trade routes there. Then they expire. I'm going to move them over to like Bibrax to rush out the Estadio do Marcana. Building Venetian Arsenal over in Avaricum. Again, I don't even need a lot of these wonders for the wonders benefits themselves. I just want them for their tourism. I'm also building national parks. I've pinned a few national park spots. I don't even build them all. The Empire's looking good. I'm way ahead on culture, and I'm much higher on culture than even the leading scientists are on science. I've been ahead on units this whole time, even though I haven't been upgrading them. I think the AIs have been fighting each other. So that's been keeping their, even though they have like artillery and stuff, that's been keeping their military scores low. So I still have my allies. I don't have to worry about them. It looks like Byzantium will even be friends with me. Well, not worthy yet, but I think eventually he'll be my friend. Um, and then I finally found the Maori cities, which is good because then I can send trade routes to them, get that tourism bonus from having trade routes with them. They've denounced me, so I can't get open borders. But now you can see I've explored this continent a little bit, and look at all these sad, lonely, free cities. If I weren't at this point like already snowballed to the point of I'm sure I'm going to win, and this, by the way, is the end of the modern era. It's just a little bit before the atomic era, I guess. But at this point, like I already know I'm winning. I've already got a bunch of ski resorts up, and I'm gonna get rock bands soon if I haven't gotten one already. There's my first rock band, I guess. So if I weren't already sure I was gonna win, I would probably like build a fleet, send some units, conquer these free cities just to get extra wonders, extra districts and such. But yeah, so Rome fell. It became free cities. Sparta had other cities like Mycenae and became free cities. So I don't know what kind of dark loyalty pressure they were experiencing to actually make their capitals flip. But I don't know if this is like sort of unique to my game, or if this is going to happen a lot on Dramatic Ages, where you find whole civs just wiped out by their own inability to produce era score. Thankfully, this isn't us. I imagine if you get back-to-back Dark Ages and the tech isn't right, or you don't have the right military, like maybe this could happen to you. Scary thought. So let's not think about it. Let's. If you're playing Dramatic Ages, I recommend you always keep up on your military, maybe even more than you would in a normal game. It's always good to keep up military just so the AI doesn't feel like it can steamroll you. But even more so in this mode because, you know, say I keep Australia and Spain happy in this game in a normal game mode. I get alliances with them. I know that they're not going to attack me, so I don't really build up military. I focus on my culture victory. That's all well and good, but if I add on Dramatic Ages and I know my cities are going to rebel at some point, then I need military because I know I'm definitely going to want to retake those cities when they rebel, and I know that even at this point in the game, when I'm you know, pretty sure I'm going to win, and I'm building lots of wonders and stuff. When you get lots of era score over, as I've already said, like at this point, the next era is going to be really hard to get a golden age in. For the one after the coming one. So it can't, like, at some point you will get a dark age, and when that happens, you want to have military up. At least have like military that you can upgrade very quickly. You know, turn that courser into cavalry or whatever. Yeah, at this point, you know, there's not much to say. Like I said, we already got to computers, and then I got telecommunications for some reason or other. I don't remember why, but I went for that, and then maybe to get era score or something for getting into the information era. Then I went back, got combustion. This is the first time I think I've ever built the Golden Gate Bridge. I built it across the English Channel here, in classic Celtic fashion. It's just so hard to place, and it's not super useful. I just built it again because it's a wonder and because I could. I didn't prioritize it, but the AI didn't prioritize it either, or they didn't have a place where they could build it. But I had a place, so I built it, even though I didn't get any national parks in that city, so I didn't really get any advantages from it. So that is the modern era. Culture-wise, like I said, we're going for distributed sovereignty. We already got these modern era, information era texts, and then we want the future texts. So why don't we just jump right back into the last save. All right, so here we are, back again, just having won the culture victory. 530 out of 523 needed. Let's have a look again at all the tourism we've generated. Lots of tourism locations here, from wonders, national parks, 26 over there. Our earliest national parks, 25 and 26. Over, yeah, good tiles. We got the Golden Gate Bridge. We got the Eiffel Tower. We got St. Basil's, we got Sydney Opera House, Bolshoi, Hermitage, uh, we got Rio, we got the Stadio de Maracana, we got Cristo Redentor. Like I said, I was also pretty close to a diplomacy victory. Um, diplomatic victory disabled. That's weird. I don't remember disabling diplomatic victory. Oh, it's because I already won. Yeah, I had like 18 points or something at the end. Um, we can see, yeah, all the free cities there that we could have conquered if we really needed them, but we didn't need them. That's the end of the game. Anything else tech-wise? Like I said, I just clicked the last future tech and let it automatically pick once I finished combustion. Here we got all of the. We skipped some of these civics. I mean, I skipped these a lot, especially if I'm going for culture victory. Got distributed sovereignty. I started doing a bunch of global carbon recapture projects just because I could, and that got me a lot of Diplo favor. Cultural hegemony is the one I really wanted, so I could get Hallyu to get rock bands to choose from any promotion, and non-state actors to let spies choose from any promotion, and then you could just spam Future Civic over and over again to get lots of governor titles and Diplo points. So I have a lot of culture. Policy-wise, I put in all the cards that give me bonuses to tourism. I put in cards that gave me faith. I used the rock band card. I started playing around and getting lots of Diplo points, so I put in these cards to get Diplo favor, kept my spies going. But yeah, I mean, at this stage of the game, focus on your tourism, because that's how you win. And I'm using the Wish You Were Here card because that obviously gives you tourism. Solidarity is a new card, I think, for this era. All governors exert 2 additional foreign loyalty pressure. All your cities with governors receive plus 25% gold and faith, which is great. At least the faith is great for that culture victory, just, you know, finishing off those last few rock bands. If I were going for a science victory, I would want Sky and Stars to get more science and production for spaceports. I'd use Heartbeat of Steam to build wonders and to get more production out of campuses. If I were going military, I'd use To Arms and build more military units, as well as probably Solidarity to get the gold and more loyalty pressure. So, but those are all our policies. Let's see, we talked tech, we talked civics, we talked policies, we talked religion. Great people. A few people came up that I rushed to get, so I didn't get James Sith Tata, but there was the other one that gives, I forget the Japanese name, but whoever it was, that gives you plus 10 tourism per industrial zone, which was great for the Gaul because of all the Opida I built. And I kept getting great people with great works. I think, oh yeah, I got Mary Leakey as a scientist, and so on. But climate change got to stage 5. Governors, yeah, I just started appointing governors. I got the master plan for the Isles of Minerva, and I just started. Actually, I started ignoring the governor titles because I just didn't need them anymore. But yeah, you can see, like I said at the start, I was 1 turn away from entering the information era in a dark age, and I shuddered to think what would have happened. Because once I realized I was going into a dark age, I started upgrading bombards to artillery and crossbowmen to machine guns, and I started building AT crews. But most of my military was not teched up. I still have a Gessetai here, Gessetai, just to possibly get the achievement for destroying a tank with them, but you know that didn't happen. But yeah, my military, I don't know if it would have been ready for, like, I don't know, 10 of these cities to rebel, which could have happened, I guess. Akkad switched over to me, actually, just through loyalty pressure. You can see Australia not faring too well. I think they're in a dark age. Yeah, they're the only ones in a dark age, so they're losing cities. They lost Geelong or Geelong to Spain. Anyway. Yeah, so that is the game. That is Gauls. That is how to win a culture victory on Deity with the Gauls. I am sorry that you didn't get to see the whole playthrough, but hopefully I talked you through The highlights, I gave you enough of some clues about like the choices to make, where to settle cities. You know, just like focus on where you get the good Apida districts. Focus on like what wonders you can build, where you can build them. Be sure to get some source of faith if you can, in order to get national parks and rock bands out, and have fun. Enjoy the rebellions in the Dramatic Ages. They can be pretty annoying, but as long as you have a military, you'll be able to handle them. And the Golden Ages will be even better for you, though. There's some pretty sweet policy cards, and I do love not being restricted to choosing one. You get to slot in different cards whenever you need them, which really does make your Golden Ages dramatically better. Yeah, pretty good. So thank you for watching. I hope you liked. If you liked, please like and subscribe to the channel. Please leave a comment if you have any thoughts. Especially, please tell me if you like this format. If you do, then I will probably do more of them in the future. But I will also try to record more Let's Plays where we talk about the decisions as we go and we watch most of the game. I'm planning to do that with Gaul soon as a domination victory instead of a culture victory, but I wanted to show off this game because I was pretty happy with how it turned out, and I thought it was fun. I thought the Gauls were fun. I really like Dramatic Ages as well as Secret Societies. Secret Societies makes you really strong. You know, it's also supposed to make the AI strong, although it looks like Byzantium and Spain went a little crazy with the cultists, so I don't know how well they actually can handle the mode. Maybe that makes it easier. Dramatic Ages, though, is a lot of fun. I do like the changes it makes, and I like having to have a military ready just to deal with rebels just in case. It's sort of good practice for you to build up your military just to keep the AI off of your back. So that's pretty fun. And I like Gaul a lot. I also like Byzantium a lot. Maybe I'll do one of these recaps for a Byzantium playthrough. We'll see. But let me know what you want to see. Please leave a comment. And with that, just take care. Have a good one. Bye.